this is different. This is magnificent, man. And I like this. I enjoyed myself to the fullest, and I can't wait to come back on. I can't wait to see it, see more of the people on here.
And it's also wonderful to hear people talk sanely to each other.
I mean, yes, pain is inevitable. I mean, there's a reason we have these sensors in our body. I mean, they're warning signs. In other words, something hurts. Obviously, something is amiss.
That's the standard, especially on film. When the film, the cameras weigh in on your soul. If you commit to not putting crap out there, you can actually make a difference, certainly for yourself, and maybe something about the soul.
And we're just beginning to unlock and comprehend the true nature of the universe, in my humble opinion. And we still have no definitive proof that life exists outside of our solar system.
And I would ask him to come with me back to early 2023 to save my son's life.
My father passed away. She's an only child. Her mother had passed away. She didn't have any family. And she asked me to walk her down the aisle. That's the part that changed.
That cruel moment of when you realize there is no hope. That tears at me, but it doesn't tear at me anymore because there was hope. I hung on just long enough to come out the other side. And here I am. Look at me, all beautiful and stuff.
But now you're going to bring your garbage and war out into space. Well, we're not going to let that happen.
The high tide's going to come. You're not going to be able to overcome at least what technology has created.
And they were rebuilding that country at a cost.
Their truth is the truth that we imbue in them, to be kind, to be civil.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm not all the names that the kids were calling me on the playground. I was dyslexic. It was a recognition.
Continue to work as hard as you can, because by working, Avi, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief. The grief will build up. Two people, two different stories.
It was a life-changing moment because I was no longer allowing myself to be a victim.
Another trio of questions, now more underrated. We have Billy D. Williams, Italian men named Skippy or Unicycle.
I'm sorry, Italian men named Skippy. Put me away, Abby. That's
Archie Bunker, the mountain climber. Ralph Cramden, the yoga instructor, or Don Corleone, the computer repair person.
It's clearly an issue with the hard drive. I'm going to go Don Corleone.
The bed actually looks like a bed. ED. If you think about it, lasagna is just spaghetti-flavored cake. I don't know. Have we ever thought about this? That the object of golf is to play the least amount of golf. Think about it. That's golf in a nutshell.
Yep. That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. That's true.
That's the object.
Where I went around, I visited all the adults first in the cancer, the Stony Brook University Cancer Center. And then I visited the children. And I would say the adults were at least as enthused and joyful to see Santa. And
Ventura, I said, I don't know if you remember me. He says, of course, Jacques Rougeau, I remember you, the Rougeau brothers, And when he said that to me, it was like, holy.
I got a chance to get to know Joe Weider. Joe was like a second father to me. He took me under his wing. He introduced me to art. He introduced me to his.
I had a blast. I want to dance with somebody.
There we go.
I'll do it.
I do too right now, guys and gals. And
when you say
videotape, I'm gonna say it once again to all Jake's people, all them Braves fans. Hey, y'all, appreciate y'all. I love you and keep rooting for them Braves.
But I was going, Tom, Don, I'm a true fan. Yo, I never watched all of your movies through time because they scared the crap out of me. Love y'all, man.
Pleasure. Great to meet you. It's great to meet you too, Trent.
Yeah, Avi, you did a great job.
Amos.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
Last name McMahon, first name Jim. Welcome, my friend, to the second round reveal show.
Avi, always great to hear your voice, kid, and to hear your intros. You're amazing.
I welcome a power player and businessman. Last name Rosenthal, first name Steve.
Avi, you are unbelievable.
No, please.
That was one of the best introductions I've ever had in my entire life. It was better than my bar mitzvah.
Welcome this man, last name Davidson, first name Tommy.
Nice. Now, I think that's the best intro I've ever had.
Oh, I appreciate that, my friend.
Grab your mommy. Here's Tommy.
Did you have a nice time tonight in the green room?
I had a great time. I can't tell you how refreshing it is that somebody knows what they're doing.
Avi is a poet, but he doesn't know it, but his feet show it. You're unbelievable.
$15,000, trip for 2 to Greece, winning it all, competitive juices. Are they all there, Joe?
Man, the competitive juices don't stop.
Robert, would you like to win this entire tournament?
You know, all those luminaries and athletes and strongmen notwithstanding, the most dangerous place on this show is between me and that prize. That's all I'm going to say.
You get a chance.
I am here to destroy people, to win, put out the rhymes that make things say that be so fine, and then hit you in the butt, because I'm ready to win this all. It's all about me going to Greece with my wife and my family and having a great time. Let's win this. Let's win this.
Oh, are you here to win the whole darn tournament?
I don't play. I just win.
There are those of us who like to venture to the unexplored, to see the beauty in the strange and unknown. Those of us who go out there with a sense of wonder. It's the magic of risking everything for a dream that nobody sees but you.
Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the shadow of the shade. Yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me, unafraid. God, it matters not how straight the gate, how punishment charged the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul.
I have to remind myself that some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright. And when they fly away, the part of you that knows it was a sin to lock them up does rejoice. Let me tell you about a voice. The one that whispers. It tells me what's right and what's not, when to leave and where to go. It's not Shakespeare. It does not speak in memorable lines. My inner voice always gives it to me straight. Tells me who my real friends are, when to say yes, when to say no. Whether the person sitting next to me is the one I'll be spending the rest of my life with.
You already know that dedication, hard work, and perseverance gives positive results.
Let your instincts guide you.
Your 15 minutes are up. You better start thinking of something else. What else to do? What do I want to do? I was picked a day that I was going to go to the Taxi and Limousine Commission to try and get my license. And the day before I decided to go, I got a call from my agent. Paul Newman is casting, wants to see you. Getting a job is like having money in your pocket. If you got it, you can get it. Strangely enough, so this was in September. By October, I had a TV job, an off-Broadway show. I was directing a play, and I was going to be in January going to do this movie. It was called Harry and Sons. Go figure. What would you do if you weren't an actor? If you didn't make it as an actor, what would you do? I have no idea. I would act somewhere, because I'll die if I don't.
Hall of Fame and one of the NBA's top 50 players. And I'm really excited to tell you about my new relationship in the broadcasting world with the new network.
It's TKN, and a young man named Avi Klein has poured his blood, sweat, and tears into creating this new network and assembling an amazing group of individuals to co-host shows with him throughout the network, covering everything you can imagine. He's assembled artists, authors, film entertainers.
Legends from every walk of life who are just bringing their knowledge and their experience and their wisdom, and this is amazing. Like in a day and age when our airwaves are just completely oversaturated with false narratives, with social media futility, with craziness, Avi just is I feel like this is a cosmic convergence of what is most important to him, and he's such a stand-up guy.
Here, but with a very warm heart
for Avi and thanking him for all the work he's put into creating the new network. For me, I have just a teeny part of this in terms of having a program that's based on storytelling, where I get to share some of my stories with you.
I can't even imagine how hard Avi Klein works. He tells me he gets 4 hours of sleep a day, and I actually believe that, because Avi is so passionate, he works so hard, and
tune into Avi's network, because there's a lot of jewels that we're going to uncover.
I'm going to be tagging up again with my great friend and tag team partner Avi Klein for Breaking the Ice, which will be just one show out of many that are part of the new network.
He's very respectful, and he really connects with the artists and his audiences, and I felt like this guy's on to something, and I'm proud to be a part of this with him.
Avi, congratulations. I don't know anybody that can talk as much as you. Seriously, I thought I could talk. You are unreal. But you do it with class, understanding, professionalism. You're simply amazing. I told you that when I first met you. And you ran off my autobiography. It basically was a book. It was simply fantastic. And to think that you do that every show.
The thing is you put out a stage out here, you give us a floor to go on of competition, and everybody can relate to having competition.
I just think it's going to be, a lot of fun for people. I don't think people, there's nothing like this on the air, I don't think, really. No, there isn't. I just think it's going to be I'm very interested in how people respond to it, because I know it's going to be interesting, and see if people tune in and stay tuned in. And I really hope they do, and I'm all yours, bro. Let's go out and make this work, all right? I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
And gals and pals, it is Saturday night. In case you're wondering, what's up with these shades? What's up with that backdrop? I'm on location. I'm allowed to take a vacation on location. Why not? Although, guys and gals, work never stops. But guess what? The real reason why we do this celebrity tournament is because we listen, we learn, and we love. That's what it's all about, guys. Competitive camaraderie, yes. But this is a place where if you're seeking controversy, go somewhere else. We have conversations and not controversy. And thanks to you guys and gals, in 9 short months, 66,000 subscribers, 2 million views. We really appreciate you, because we started out with the big donut. I'm very honest and humble. We started out with nothing. But now, guys and gals and pals, people are realizing that you can have fun and enjoy a living room style conversation the way that we do. Not thanks to me, but thanks to everybody here that gives us their heart and souls, just like the 3 who are backstage right now, who are very generous human beings. Guys, industrial size air conditioners at your favorite B&B in Alaska, guys and gals and pals, would be rendered obsolete after witnessing that intro, because we're all fired up. That much is a fact. You have all experienced luminary after luminary. Enter this virtual arena. Indeed, this tournament is jam-packed. I dub this vision of mine edutainment because I place emphasis on entertainment and education. Because on this station, we celebrate those that are passionate about their vocation. And this format is anything but the same old, so I thank you for embracing the innovation and expressing your constant elation when taking in the most star-studded tournament of them all, a place where competitors convey their level of admiration, while we marvel at the information, passion, and perspiration when observing this wide array of talent that make up the population of strong-minded thinkers that enlighten us all. And this is why I subscribe to Conversation, because listening and applying is how we get to our destination. We're all so much closer than we are apart, which is why this show offers a demonstration of what's right about us as a society. As for the new viewers out there who have a fascination, sit back and enjoy as I put a cap on this verbal dissertation. Let's keep doing what we do and realize that our motto isn't a Sherlock Holmes mystery. A legendary director of Superman fame, my mentor, told me that many years ago, write your own history. That mentor lives in my heart daily. His name is Richard Donner. So let's sit back and realize we've witnessed here in this tournament, guys and gals, many things that I consider oh so grand. Where as of tonight, 131 Hall of Famers from the world of sports, music, pro wrestling, not to mention Oscar, Grammy, Tony, Emmy, Golden Globe, AMA, and Olympians all competing for the pride and the prize. Guys and gals, the real discovery and rediscovery of our humanity lives through open dialogue as we expand to be prepared and give a hand to competitors that are about to work their sweat gland all the while. Our attention they command with $15,000 and a 5-day and 5-night trip to Greece on the line. One cannot forget about the pride and the prize. So with that, let's all rise and reprise our roles as educational voyeurs that never chastise or agonize. Guys and gals, let's rather revel in our beautiful reality without missing a disguise. Here on this network, we're all allergic to lies because the bard Shakespeare once said, "It is not in the stars to hold our destiny, but in ourselves." So if you love something, then don't hate others that do, because doing is the sweet nectar that is most rewarding. Take a moment to breathe, admire your desire to aspire, because if you don't, life will be but a blur. Of this I'm sure. So never hate the flower for starting out as a seed. Long distance running is essential. This isn't a stampede, so don't run anyone over on your way to the top. Focus on yourself and never forget to cheerlead. Root for your loved ones and lift people up. This human fortune cookie, guys and gals, is going to take a beat. And I think we've all agreed that positivity is something that we can all, guys and gals, never concede. I do want to say this because there's no script here when it comes to Mr. John Amos. We lost him recently. And he was a friend, a mentor, someone who I was passionate about as a human being. I was his writer. And to know him was to love him. So, John, I love you. And thank you for teaching me so much, because without learning, there is no living. So thank you for giving me life the way that you did, my friend. I will honor you with a video later on in this broadcast. But guys and gals and pals, I think it's time to bring in our amazing participants in the back. They are ready to go. They have their topics. I will introduce them and their topics, guys. But guys and gals and pals, first let's take a look at our very first participant tonight, right about now.
You're here on a heroic mission. You're going to take your capacity to articulate yourself to levels that are undreamed of. You're going to come out of here unstoppable. You're going to be able to do anything you want. It's like, that's what you're here for.
To what degree you decide that you're going to live out your own genuine being. It isn't only your fate.
Feminism in its core values is equality about the sexes. Sexism is an overarching category where the British and the Germans walked on either side and shook each other's hands, gave gifts, and showed love.
Guys and gals and pals, when talent meets intellect, you encounter something that you don't want to face in this field. We can take hit after hit and come at you strong, but this man doesn't even require a shield. His intellectual prowess and passion don't subside, so get ready for quite the ride. To defeat him, you better do your homework and channel your inner scholar, like former 19th century Governor Lew Wallace, the author of Ben-Hur. Let's welcome a talent and a man with a lot of gusto, Mr. Bryan Burr. Bryan, welcome to the TKN Celebrity Tournament round number 2.
Hi, Avi. Thank you for having me here, man. I'm super excited, and I am just ready and rearing.
Well, my friend, you are an intelligent human being. Again, people might assume, hey, at the end of the day, guys and gals, a little pop in circumstance, but a lot of substance. You might show up for the style, trust me, but all the while, the substance is what we have here, because again, these three generous human beings that are here to showcase their heart and their soul, we appreciate them for that. So remember, votes are not this competitive thing, as you know, Bryan. They're not this, you're bad and I'm good. What does that mean? We're all equal. We're all one and the same, and I mean that. I will take those words to my dying grave. What we are going to do is vote on who resonates most with us, because, again, they are bearing, including Bryan, their hearts and their souls with us tonight. But at the end of the day, Bryan, again, the person who wins this whole tournament, 131 people. Every Saturday night, we get a trio. That means round 2 won't be done till late spring, early summer, but we're enjoying the ride, we're growing, and that's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, if you make it to that 6th round, It could be you and David Justice. It could be you and Jesse Ventura. Who knows? At the end of the day, Bryan, $15,000, trip for two to Greece. That ain't too shabby. Are you here to win the whole thing?
I'm here to win everything.
Bryan, you, my friend, are a man that exudes confidence, and I can't wait to learn a bit more about you as well, as we all will. That is the real prize. I'm going to put you backstage.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate you, Bryan. Guys and gals and pals, we are on. We are ready to go tonight, and I cannot wait to bring in my next participant in this an incredible tournament, because when I think of the word good, it isn't always about being good, but rather releasing good, because good deeds have their own reflection. And such kind people, they leave a legacy in our hearts, and they can't ever be forgotten. So when it comes to my next guest, she truly is, without question, unforgettable.
It was a great treat. Such a relief to know that the person behind the camera knew exactly how you were feeling, and when you had problems doing something, knew exactly why. He'd been in that position himself and understood it inside out.
I am a teacher. I am a teacher first, last, always. Do you imagine that for one instant I will let that be taken from me without a fight?
And also it seemed very, very bright. It was like being in the movies instead of watching them. It was extraordinary to see them grow up like that. 10 years of their lives, half their lives, that is, in fact.
Somehow you must go back. You must make yourself remember. Peter, don't you know who you are?
How we, as humans, don't just live on the earth, we are the earth.
Also, when I got older, my mother and I used to wrap presents, and she taught me how to harmonize, singing Silent Night.
But the rocks are of the earth, the trees are of the earth, and we all are an organic part of this earth.
Absolutely, guys and gals. Again, to know her is to appreciate her. She's become a wonderful, dear friend. And I really can't wait, guys and gals and pals, for you, again, to get to know a bit more about Cindy through the topics. Because talent is one thing, but character is another altogether, guys and gals. Her character and dignity epitomize the true essence of humanity. As William Shakespeare said, guys and gals and pals, to thine own heart be true. Positivity is the glue that allows us to make it through, and pretty soon, my rhymes, I shall bid them all adieu. Friendships that transcend social distance are something we should all value. A million your amazings will never come close to convey how much I cherish this human being, my next participant, who's also a dear friend. My gratitude for her way of being, honesty and warmth, is something I never take for granted, because she is genuine as they come. The language of the eye and the ear and the gift of human connection is what it's all about. When speaking with her, there is a sense of great elation one can never pout. Her body of work has always been honest and truthful, as her stories always captivate. Her works of art, she's always been able to create, always translate, as we relate, to her ability to illustrate, as she helps others always elevate. As a fellow screenwriter, her literary works are timeless and can move us many different ways. She always continues to amaze, as I shall always give her praise, for minutes, hours, and days. She has presence and range, and has always been able to make small and big screens shine. She was incredible, my first name Stephen, circa 1989. She sank her teeth into her role as Dr. Carol on St. Elsewhere. Her heart and way of being is a gift that is absolutely rare. Loved her in Hot to Trot, Sleepwalkers, and Son-in-Law. Her performance in the next film left us all in awe. She played a loving mom to a boy named Ferris. What could be cooler? In case you're a youngster, I'm talking about the one and only Ferris Bueller. So put your hands together for a dear friend and human being. Last name Pickett, first name Cindy. Cindy, welcome, my dear friend, to round 2 of the Celebrity Tournament.
Oh my God, you made me cry. That was so beautiful. Awesome. You're awesome. Thank you.
Well, you're beautiful, and you know what? So is Richard, and so is Bryan, and I mean that. I got to tell you something about Richard. Getting to know him a little bit, but you could already tell the great thing about him is he makes people feel better about themselves. In the green room, that's how I felt. I know that's how you felt. You do that with a lot of people because every time you're on here, I don't have to tell you this, but we know in the craft of storytelling, there's something called authenticity and being honest, and you epitomize all that, my friend. When the camera is off, to get to know who you are as a human being, like that is the real gift. That is the real prize. And I want to tell you that I cherish our friendship and I value it.
And so do I. Thank you. Because your mantra is life, love, and laughter. And that's mine. And honesty and reality. Not reality, realness, honesty. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. You're wonderful. I'm really so moved by that introduction. Thank you.
Well, you deserve it all the time, my friend. And again, Cindy, again, the real prize is we can apply what we learn here, hopefully have a good time and laugh. Why not? But at the end of the day, and no one's gonna be upset, at least to my knowledge. No one's gonna be upset if they lose a match because again, they walk away learning something. But $15,000, not too bad. Trip for two to Greece, all on the line over here. Would you like to win the whole tournament, my friend?
Oh my gosh. My dad put me on stage when I was sick. I learned to compete early. I do not go into anything without intending to win. And Greece is on my bucket list, so you bet.
I love that. And I love and I love your spirit. And you know what, guys and gals, again, Cindy Pickett and I have our own talk show coming up. It's going to debut very, very soon. We also have 70 plus celebrity talk shows that really get into the heart of the matter because, again, it's one thing to celebrate a celebrity, but how about celebrating what they stand for? And here under this great umbrella, people like Cindy Pickett stand for something. They take their time to teach many of our storytellers. So we applaud the luminaries that really do offer their heart and soul to the masses the way that you do, Cindy.
Thank you. And you do too. Thank you.
I will put you.
Thank you for creating this incredible program to spread the word and do good things. You bring goodness. You bring goodness.
Well, it's easy, my friend, because I surround myself with human beings like you. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'm going to put you backstage for a quick moment, my friend. The wonderful Cindy Pickett, guys and gals. The wonderful Cindy Pickett. And again, man. Think about challenges you might have in life. If you take every challenge, guys, that you have in your life, if you take every challenge everyone has in their life and multiply it by 70 million or billion, you might get what it's like to live the life of a storyteller and deal with the challenges that they have. Because without craftsmanship, inspiration is a mere reed shaken in the wind. Sounds cheesy, but the larger the island of knowledge, the longer the shoreline of wonder. And I, personally speaking, this Klein over here, has marveled at this man's wonder and his gift of making all of us feel better about ourselves. This, guys and gals, is Richard Kline.
I think that thing about being an actor, no matter how much training you have, there's always some guy that's going to sit out there in the audience and go, nah, didn't buy it. No matter who it is. And, somebody can compliment you, someone you really respect, but he lived on chili for 2 years in New York, went through some snowy winters, broke, trying to make it. He didn't want that for his son. He wanted me to be something, substantial, like a brain surgeon, something like that, but I just couldn't do it. I was too nervous. That's the key, yeah. If you like to get up every morning and go and do, there's some times where it's really been tense and everything, but basically if you just come from an open heart, I think you've got a head start.
All of these guys have had alternate careers and have done wonderful things for the community.
Sure, yeah.
But if we're talking purely about accomplishments on the gridiron, I think that's what we should be focusing on. But this show is to educate, and I think we've been educated by both of the comments that you guys said of the extracurricular activities of these guys. That's all I want to say. And they joined this group called the Compass Players, which then became Second City. And Second City is the birthplace of basically everyone who ever appeared on Saturday Night Live in the beginning. So what they brought to comedy, nobody had brought before, and that is improvisation.
Wonderful words, guys, spoken by a wonderful person. Success is the pursuit of progress despite failure. A man that has a deep understanding of human nature and the world around him so happens to be our next participant. His works of art can be seen, heard, and felt as they are absolutely timeless. His approach epitomizes the unselfish collaboration as he's created such great harmony with his fellow colleagues. He has consistently taken a blank canvas and filled it with beautiful, honest, and truthful works of art. His range and depth are quite vast, and his outlook rather refreshing. He's a fellow Queens guy like myself, Forest Hills by the way, but we have more in common. Just wait. We both teach this wonderful craft of storytelling. We share the same last name, and much like his iconic character, we never had a problem getting a date. We have style, don't hate. He received, guys and gals, a BA in speech at Queens College and a master's degree at NU. And next was the good old Bard. Yes, working with American Shakespeare Festival Company is how he received his equity card. 2 weeks into rehearsals, his draft notice came in, and shortly thereafter he served our country in a place called Vietnam. Thank you, good sir, for your service. As a former history teacher, I find his story fascinating, and I have even mentioned everyone's favorite sitcom. Segway time indeed, as in April of '77, he began to portray a character on a show that became an absolute force. Why, I'm talking about Larry Dallas and everyone's favorite comedy, Three's Company, of course. He romanced the ladies with his smooth and fine wine type presentation, and even though we don't share the same bloodline, these rhymes by design have reached their deadline. So look at the headline, no need for a sign, because this gentleman's presence will be sure to make your soul shine. If this were the 80s, I'd express this fact on a hotline. If your phone wouldn't work, you'd hear it through the grapevine. They're pumped and ready to go, guys and gals, from the French Alps to the Bora Bora shoreline. We're all excited, no need to deadpan like Ben Stein. All these sentiments hit you hard and sharp like an overzealous porcupine. This is a safe place indeed until a mother-in-law hands you a valentine. So sit back and recline as our next luminary shines, oh so bright like a New York City skyline, and put your hands together for a fine and incredible human being. First name Richard, last name Klein. Mr. Richard Kline, welcome, my friend. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I just nodded off. Avi, I'm so sorry. I just took just a mini. Avi,
oh boy,
listen,
yes sir.
We both have this same last name, Klein, right?
Yes sir.
Okay. We don't rap, okay?
What?
No, we don't rap. We're from Queens. We both got bar mitzvah. We don't. No.
Yes.
I got to tell you something. You know what? I didn't realize coming into this TKN extravaganza what an incredible
thank you.
marketplace and forum for all these people. That introduction of all the guys that you pulled out, all the clips you pulled out.
Sure.
All of them's friends of mine, the Joey Mantegna and Bruce Davis and whatever.
Oh yeah.
That I worked with, but and Dak and Matthews, who's like
he's amazing. He's
forget
amazing.
about it. Yeah. But you know, to have a place where, I mean, you call it a competition, whatever, but it's a forum for the ideas, and it's amazing that you see some of these people who are, you know, icons in their field, who actually have a brain, and can communicate some wonderful things, and so anybody tuning in, it's a gift. It's a gift for them, and
I appreciate that.
You should be, praised for that, because who knew? I mean, I didn't know when you first contacted me. I don't know, who's the greatest linebacker in the NFL? I didn't. So.
I want to explain that to you also, if I can, my friend. So I wanted to start this tournament out real gradual, and on a surface level, I felt like if I bring people in and don't overwhelm them with thought-provoking topics, since some of them don't know me, some I have written for and some I haven't. But regardless, I figured let them get their feet wet. If they enjoy the format of the show, the second round would be much more thought-provoking. And as you mentioned, the backdrop, Greece, 15 grand, that's great. But the real prize is being able to sit down amongst, I guess, a virtual arena that we're in and discuss matters that actually matter, topic matters that matter. And you know what, my friend? I like the fact that you and Cindy and Bryan maybe don't know each other that well, but I love hearing from the luminaries once the show is over and they text me and say, hey, I already got your number. We're cool. Can I get that person's number? I think they're great. So people come in as strangers and they walk out as friends, and I love that, Richard.
Yeah. Ask me if I want to win the tournament.
Okay, hold on. I got a swig of water for that, okay?
Yeah.
Richard, my friend, as you can tell by looking into my eyes, it's all about the pride and the prize. Everybody wants to go to Greece. 15 grand, 5-day trip for Greece. Not too shabby. Are you here to win it all, my friend?
I'm just hoping, I just turned 80, and I'm just hoping I'm still alive by the time this thing is over. That's what I can tell you.
My friend, yes, you will be. Yes.
Last time I was on was September of whatever.
It was. And I got to tell you, and the great thing about this is that we are taking our time because, it's a hybrid. I would never do something unless I felt like it was fresh, not for the sake of it being innovative, but I like the fact that we're taking our time, getting to round number 3, of course. Everybody wants that. Now, Richard, again, winning the whole shebang would be nice for you, winning the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I've like Cindy. I mean, I've never been to Greece. It's on my bucket list as well. I mean, I love Greek food, and as far as the 15 grand is concerned, that's got to be taxed. My CPA is going to go nuts. I just might donate it to the Brian Burr Foundation. I don't know.
The Brian Burr Foundation. Guys, now remember, 2 out of 3 advance, and I do have to say this as well, to the studio that didn't believe in this, that I worked for, and now does sing my praises. Just remember something, guys. I told you so. So, guys and gals, this is Mr. Richard Kline. This is Cindy Pickett. And this is Mr. Brian Burr. Because you know what they said to me? Here's what they said to me. Avi, if it's not controversial, it's not going to sell. Avi, if it's topics that are above people's head for over 2 hours, no one's going to care. Well, I guess they do, and I guess they were wrong, because people do want to tune in for something intellectual and real. And guys, no more real do they come than Richard Kline, Bryan, and Cindy Pickett, who are here. I will gladly introduce topic number 1 as these bad boys get on here, guys and gals, pretty soon. We are going to delve into some topics, guys, that are really hopefully touch your soul. I call this Portrait of a Smile. Because to power a better tomorrow, sometimes it's never been more important to harness lessons from the past, guys and gals. History may be unevenly written and unevenly shared by some, but even if we never arrive at a singular truth or telling our story, it's our aim to do better, to make the tent bigger, to understand a more multifaceted perspective. So guys, the question for Cindy and for Bryan and for Richard is one and the same. They receive them, of course. If a painter decided to paint the happiest day of your life, what would it look like and why? Now, guys, Cindy, Bryan, and Richard can be as in-depth as they want. This doesn't always mean a rebuttal saying, you're wrong, I'm right. It may be, hey, can you elaborate, or I thought you said something interesting. As soon as I see someone raise an index finger, if they choose to, it's not mandatory, I'll pop in and I'll give them the floor. Guys, we're going to start with Mr. Bryan Burr. Bryan, again, take as much time as you want. After Bryan, it'll be Cindy, then Richard, then we'll rotate it out for topic number 2. Now, after topic 1, our judges will be voting, and of course, in the comment section, so will you. Who resonates most with you, guys and gals? Who really spoke to you? And of course, it's going to be tough to say because I'm sure all 3 will. Let us know who resonated most with you. Bryan, if a painter decided to paint the happiest day of your life, what would it look like and why, good sir? The floor is yours whenever you are ready.
Hands down, it would be the moment when my family was full. I mean, been through a lot of trial and tribulations in my life, and I'm going to go through more. But having that moment where I wasn't alone anymore, where I knew that I had the rocks that I could hold on to and could hold me up. The moment that I looked at my child's face when they were born, the moment that I realized I wasn't worthless. It was the moment when it was the happiest moment of my life. I would say it was the moment when my first child was born, but no, because it got even better when I had to. And it was a surprise, a real surprise. We weren't expecting, and just it was there. Honestly, if the portrait was being made, it would just be a standard family photo. However, behind me would be my mother in a silhouette, my grandmother, who made sure that I never went without understanding what I did wrong, but gave me the backbone to move forward and push through it. And my grandfather, who was a World War II veteran, who still had that heart in him. I didn't have many people in my life, so that would be it. Overstanding me and making sure that I wasn't alone.
Thank you for sharing that, man. That's personal, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Bryan. Guys and gals and pals, again, remember, Bryan and Richard and Cindy are here live. Let's always thank them for. And you guys are wonderful because as an audience, you guys are allowing us to be in your living room on a Saturday night. You're letting us know again, it's not just mere metrics or numbers. The 2 million stands for the fact that you guys are welcoming us in, and that again, you're appreciating gems like Bryan, Cindy, and Richard for being as authentic as they are. So give them a hand because they're here live and they're doing it on a Saturday night, no less. Guys and gals and pals, I will kick it over to Cindy with that same question, my friend. If a painter decided to paint the happiest day of your life, what would it look like and why? The floor is yours whenever you're ready, my friend.
Okay, I'll start with the story and end with the painting. When I was young, I was my first year at University of Texas. I got pregnant, one night stand. And during that time, there were no abortions. You'd go to Mexico, get a coat hanger, it just wasn't, it wasn't done. So I went like 3 months without telling my parents. It was the summer. I was living with them. And one night my dad came upstairs and said, "You're in trouble. You're in trouble, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And he brought my mother up, said, "Millie, come up." And they just held me. There was no judgment. This isn't the moment. It's just part of the moment. But they decided to send me away to my cousin's house and have the baby and have it adopted. I did not have a choice. I fell in love with this baby. But when I went into labor and I woke up, my stomach was flat and the baby had been adopted. And I tried to get up and find him, but it doesn't matter, but I had surgery and I couldn't get up. So my parents took me back home and I started living my life again, and came to LA and went to New York. We came to LA, and I got a phone call about 15 years later. My dad called and said, "Cindy, sit down. I have something to tell you." And I said, "Okay." And he said, "Your child, our child, was kept in the family. My uncle, my dad's brother, one of his children, she and her husband couldn't have children, so they adopted my child, so we would keep it in the family." And so we drove down, we met him. When he came up on, it was in Port Aransas, Texas. He came up on a motorcycle and he said, "Get on." So I got on the back. We didn't say a word. I held him, my arms around him, and he rode me down the beach of Port Aransas. And that's not even the story yet. But that is, it was just, and he and I have been close ever since. He is one of my children. A few years later, I met Mr. Bueller. We got married, and I got pregnant. And when I was in labor, I wanted to have a labor where I was, holding on a doorknob, and I wanted to do completely without drugs. But ended up where I needed to do that. And I was, on the bed and the doctor, this is my moment. The doctor said, "He's coming out, reach down." And I reached down and I pulled him out of my body and put him on my chest. And it was just, the whole story was just perfect. And that was the story, me pulling this baby that I got to keep this time, and on my body. And that was my happiest moment. There were several happy moments there, but that was my happiest moment. And I would, it's funny because I told them, give me my glasses. And I had a friend there taking pictures, and there's a picture of me pulling him out with my glasses kind of like askew, and just that moment of incredible blessing and everything, wonder, and that's me. That was my moment.
Wow. Cindy, if I could ask you a question, if you were to title that portrait, what title would you give that? What sort of title?
I'm not good at titles.
Several, or maybe I'll ask Richard or Bryan.
Yeah, let's all choose one.
How they interpreted that. Bryan, if you would title that portrait, what would you do? Maybe perhaps either your own or Cindy's, yeah.
I have an idea. I'd call it Rebirth.
Ooh, I like that.
Rebirth, yeah.
With the glasses askew.
Yeah.
I'm thinking impressionistic, like Picasso's Woman with Child.
I like it.
There you go. Yeah.
I like it.
I could see that, sure.
I will send you that picture.
You better.
I have a picture.
I'm gonna message you, Cindy, after this extravaganza anyway, because I'm sure we have a lot of stories to tell each other.
Yes.
Well, there we go. We've done it again, guys and gals. Again, this is a.
What about you? What's your title, sir?
Yeah.
Me?
No, Mr. Avi.
Oh, that's a good one.
That actually is very good.
It is hard. It's multifaceted.
Claiming my reflection.
Ooh.
Claiming my reflection would be what I call it.
Interesting. Very interesting.
But guys, again, give it up for Bryan, Cindy, and Richard. Richard is next for, again, giving us their heart and soul here. I really do appreciate everything. And again, guys and gals, let us know your thoughts. If you want to give us, as you always do, you contribute with such intelligent comments week in and week out. Your self-portrait in the comment section. I'll read some a bit later after this particular segment. Richard, same question again. If a painter decided to paint the happiest day of your life, what would it look like and why? Good sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Okay, so as an actor of I don't know, it's 55 some odd years. There are many wonderful times when you audition and you get the part and it's woohoo and it brings a sense of joy to it. There are also times, of course, when that doesn't happen. It's called rejection, and so they kind of balance out. So there's not one job either in the musical comedy, which I've been fortunate to do, or television or film, that I went, wow, this is spectacular. And believe it or not, getting cast on Three's Company was not the happiest day of my life, because I went in as a guest spot and I didn't have a contract. And the producers saw that John and I had this chemistry, and they then began to have me back. And then finally, after the first year, I did get a substantial contract, and we ran for 8 years. So that particular job was not the happiest day of my life with respect to the industry. So I had to go back and see in my personal history. There was one other time, actually 2 other times, and the time before the time I'm going to talk about is when my daughter was born in 1984, February 23rd to be exact. And that day should have been titled the happiest day of my life, because on that particular day, and this was just after Three's Company had ended its run of taping, on that day, I was cast in a pilot as the star for CBS with Shelley Fabre, a wonderful actress who was on Coach before that. So on that morning, visiting my wife, who had had a cesarean section, she was in the bed, and I guess we had pagers then. We didn't have cell phones. I got a call from my agent that you got the pilot, which is, my first starring role, whatever. That's not the happiest day of my life. The happiest day of my life. And by the way, Bryan and Cindy both talking about the birth of a child. Believe me, there's nothing that compares in the miracle, the godsend miracle of birth. And I appreciate that. But for me, it was coming back from Vietnam after a year. And it was in February. I have these dates in my mind, February 5th to be exact, 1971. And we landed at Fort Lewis, Washington. And it was February. It was very cold. There was snowflakes, swirling around. Because we walked down the stairs. It wasn't like the gangway attached to the plane. We walked down the stairs. And of course, being the theatrical soldier that I was, I kissed the tarmac of the Fort Lewis airport. And I remember I was wearing what they call tropical fatigues, which is in Vietnam, there's very, very light clothing. You have the hat and whatever. And I did not feel a scintilla of cold. I was just so overjoyed. Now, since you said the happiest day, this is a 24-hour period, right, Avi? So they immediately, well, not immediately, but they gave us the celebratory steak dinner. This is what happens when you come back from Vietnam, if you come back in one piece. And my journey in Vietnam was fortunate. I did not get wounded or anything. I was, if you read my biography, I was actually struck by lightning while I was there when I landed in the Cam Bay Hospital for 2 months. But that's a whole other story, which has nothing to do with the happiest day of my life. So, but I was blessed, and so fortunate, and to make it back from what was pretty much, historically a horrible situation for so many of our boys. Mm-hmm. So the day continues, and we are put on a plane that morning. It's still 24 hours, so it's still the happiest day. And we go to New York, to Kennedy Airport. I guess it was called Kennedy then, in 1971. It might have been called Idlewild for those history buffs. Anyway, and we get off the plane, and we go down this corridor, terminal corridor, in not the regular corridor where most customers or passengers are, but in some industrial part of Kennedy Airport where this military charter landed. And at the end of the corridor was my mother, my father, and my sister and her husband and their dog Barney, a little Cocker Spaniel. And my sister's husband let the dog go, and the dog came running to me and embraced me. And that was the happiest day of my life. And if a portrait were to be painted, or a painter was going to paint that scene, I would actually see the painting with my back to the painting and the faces of my parents and my sister and husband in the painting. And if you want to talk about what style, it wouldn't be a surrealism. It would be realism, or maybe even photorealism. But anyway, that would be it. And I don't have, I guess the title would be Homecoming.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Wow. And thank you for that question, because you're right. 24 hours in a day. A lot could happen today. Cindy?
I thought of my title.
Oh.
Second time around.
Ooh,
wow.
You like that one.
Yeah. That's terrific. I love that title. Bryan?
Richard, I wanted to ask, what was your MOS?
1333. I was an engineer officer.
Oh, well, I was Field Artillery, 13 Deltas.
What's that?
I was Field Artillery, 13 Delta.
Oh, did you go to Fort Sill?
Yes, I went to Fort Sill for my AIT. I went to Fort Jackson for my for basic.
So did I.
That's wonderful.
Relaxing Jackson.
I got to say this, man. This is great that you guys are sharing that experience, because our viewers, Richard, I know how humble you are, but they're thanking you for your service, and Bryan as well. Bryan, thank you for your service also. And guys and gals, Cindy, you know, the stories that you've told me as well. I got to ask this to Richard, because I taught history for years. I always found it very, very depressing to know that when a lot of the soldiers came back home, not only were they treated disrespectfully, but if you think about the leadership, I mean, everything was going awry. There was no leadership. You know, in '63, Kennedy, even the great John Kennedy, I'm not getting political, but even the great John Kennedy would not pull out till '64 because he knew he was going to get reelected. He could run on that ticket. But Richard, it was horrible how they treated the soldiers coming back home.
Terrible.
Avi and Cindy and Bryan, all you have to do is rent Ken Burns' Vietnam.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
That tells the story as truthfully and in depth as you possibly can. When you know, Bob McNamara admitted years later, I blew it.
Yes, Fog of War, in his documentary called Fog of War.
Yeah. I blew it. So, and when you talk about coming back to the States, I was no dummy. You know, I was not quite a hippie. I was at Northwestern, my master's program. My hair was down to here. You know, I was an actor, you know. So I was very much politically aware of what was going on. And then, you know, I got drafted, and I remember having talked with my dad the morning that they were going to take me to Fort Hamilton, Brooklyn, you know, for my induction.
Sure.
And I said, you know, I don't know if I should go to Canada or Sweden or shoot my toe off.
Right.
You know, if you shot your toe off, you'd get out of the army, whatever. And my dad said, you know, you'll be a felon. You'll be, you know, absent without leave, or, you know, a deserter. And that criminal record, you will never be able to work in the United States. You won't be able to be an actor, you know, because that's obviously what I wanted to be. I was drafted,
sure.
As Bobby said, I was drafted out of the American Shakespeare Festival in Stratford, Connecticut. My first job where I got my card. So you know, I went over. But when we came back, is what I'm trying to get at. I hush that I was in Vietnam.
Wow, yeah.
My first job was with the Lincoln Center Repertory Company, and I did not a peep out of me about what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
That's awful. I'm so sorry. I really am, and that's the best way of putting it. I mean, even McNamara, like you said, on his deathbed, he recorded something in 2003 called Fog of War. You guys should, if you haven't seen it, Bryan, check it out too. Documentary. God, I mean, he was talking about the Red Scare. He was talking about what was happening in Southeast Asia at the time. But if you think about it, the one reasonable mind, the one person who actually had enough reason to not start World War III, I'm talking about John F. Kennedy, when Camelot, his cabinet of youngsters, including Robert Kennedy, including McNamara, including Kissinger, all said, hey, this was probably October 62, proceed forward. And if he proceeded forward, there would have been World War III. It's so funny that the two world leaders, one who was considered obviously a threat to the U.S., Khrushchev, and Kennedy, had the I guess the tunnel vision to know that they were about to start World War III. But even Kennedy said, I'm not going to pull out of Vietnam until 64 because that's an election year. So to play with people's lives the way politicians do.
Yeah, play with people's lives is the best way to put it. Just play with people's lives.
Yep.
Unreal. Bryan?
If I may say this, Richard, I know you probably didn't get this enough, but I'm glad you made it home.
Oh, thank you, man.
I'm glad you did too.
If I ever get a chance to meet you, I'm buying you another steak dinner.
in New York? Richard's in New York, though. Are you sure?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, in New York. I heard that. And by the way, guys and gals, thank you again for sharing a story about your family. I know that your daughter studied and performed improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade in L.A. Am I right about that, Richard?
Oh, my daughter?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you were talking to me. Yeah, okay.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah. Also, didn't she graduate from NU School of Music, the same school that you graduated from?
Well, it's not School of Music, it's Northwestern University, yeah, and she took the theater program, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, like father, like daughter.
I love that. Hey, Richard, was humor always something that was emphasized in the dinner room table with your dad, with your mom? Was humor a big thing?
My dad had a great sense of humor. He was very dry, very, very witty. He wanted to be an actor. Actually, he was an actor very briefly in 1927, which I discovered, believe it or not, after he passed away in 2001. And my sister and I were like, moving stuff around, getting stuff out of the apartment in Queens. In Forest Hills, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I found in his drawer, under like some socks or whatever, an equity contract for a musical called Fiesta in 1927.
Wow.
He was in the chorus, and he never brought it up, but he lived vicariously through me. You know, every time he'd come to a show, any kind of theater thing I did, whatever.
Sure.
And of course the tapings out in Hollywood. But no, and my mother, it was a happy family. My older sister's 3 years older than me. She wanted to be a ballerina, so it was kind of a theatrical milieu in the family. But of course, being the youngest and being a devotee of Jerry Lewis, I wouldn't have it. I had to be the headliner.
And you were, and you made a ton of people laugh. Cindy, as well, I would ask you the same question. You've told me many stories probably about your father and how amazing he was in this industry, but he was an artist as well. I know he inspired you a ton as well, Cindy.
Oh my gosh, yes. He inspired so many people. I mean, he was an acting teacher, but he was a great director, and they called all of his shows Little Broadway. And I remember Dennis Quaid did Mother Courage. You know, I mean, we had like a rep company of wonderful actors, and yeah, it was just really incredible. I was very lucky. You know, I was brought up in a theatrical family, and that's my whole concept of everything.
Yeah.
You know, I feel more, I see more, you know, because I was brought up in a theatrical family. My kids are not actors.
Oh, no, okay. Yeah.
No, they could be. They're beautiful, but my daughter tried, and we spoke about rejection. She couldn't take the rejection. So then she's very sensitive and beautiful, and she does something else.
My daughter couldn't take it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. She did a movie with, oddly enough, with John Ritter called Problem Child.
Right. Yeah.
She was a little Lucy on Problem Child.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
And Cindy, I had a lot of connections, whatever, and I got her here and I got her there, and I even got her an audition for Wicked for the tour. Played Mr. Rose when she was older, obviously.
Yeah.
And she had a callback order, and she just couldn't handle it, and so she's pursuing her singing now mainly, but she owns a cat sitting company in Beverly Hills. She's doing very well.
And you know what?
That place.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so
and she preserved her mental health because she went for something that she's not maybe more passionate about, but more comfortable pursuing, because this is not an easy industry. People forget the business part of show business, and man, oh man, could it be tough. And you guys know that.
If I hadn't been brought up in it, I probably wouldn't have been able to take it either. But I was just really lucky. When I went to New York, I just got a Broadway show, but I went in to New York because my dad knew someone who had the name of a really good agent in New York. So I got to New York, but I had learned to be competitive. I had learned, to be aggressive. And as non-aggressive as I am in my life, I learned to do that. And you had to be. You have to.
You were, like you said, like you always tell me over the phone. Yeah, it's walking in there, making sure that you kind of feel content with the choices that you made, be it in a casting room or not. And I'll leave you with this before we get into topic number 2. I saw it firsthand when Carl Reiner spoke to a young writer. It was a writer's room, and I'm sitting there, and a young writer who happened to be a comedian said, Carl, I'm going to be on tonight for the first time doing amateur night and yada yada, and he's sitting there telling his life story, and Carl says, I've heard a lot here, and I think I have the best advice that I can ever give you. And he deadpanned. He looked at him seriously. And the young comic said, "What?" And Carl looked at him back and said, "Don't stink tonight." That's it. And I realized right there and then, if you don't get your act together, somebody else will. At the end of the day, guys and gals, you got to do it because you love it. Bryan, Cindy, and Richard are with us. We're about to delve into topic number 2 right now. Guys and gals, let me introduce that second topic. But before we do that, our judges are going to pop in. Let us know who resonated most with them and why. Maybe I can make them laugh. I know that they're taking this really seriously. They should. They're jotting down their notes. Should bald, hairy men use shampoo on their bodies and body wash on their heads?
Wait, is that our question?
It could be.
Okay, Richard.
No one here is follically challenged. That's why I asked. We all got good hair.
Wait, I thought the second question was about.
Oh no! I'm just kind of before we get into the second topic, just kind of something that popped in my head. That's all.
Is this like a filler, Avi? Kind of.
It's kind of a filler. Yeah, a filler.
Okay,
I'll work on it next time though. I'll work on the filler.
Should bald men what?
Well, I mean, shouldn't bald hairy men use shampoo on their bodies and body wash on their heads?
Uh-huh.
Avi, if I talked as fast as you did, I'd have cardiac arrest.
Okay, I'll ask another one. Okay, did you ever walk in an airport and try to pick a suitcase up that you thought was full, but it wasn't full, and you went, just for a split second, you felt really strong that it was empty. You lifted it up with ease. Did that ever happen?
I guess my question would be: is it your suitcase? Because it's kind of an open-ended question for that.
Okay, you had a long night. You took Richard Kline out for steak dinner in New York. You had a couple of drinks. You wake up the next day. You're picking up a suitcase. You think it's heavy. You think it's full, but it's empty. And you realize for a split second, I'm really strong.
Yeah, that's happened all the time.
You could let it out. It's okay. You could let it out. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine.
It just happens all the time for Bryan.
Yeah, it's all the time.
It happens all the time for Bryan, guys and gals. Okay, so now our judges are ready, and I hope they understand the value of filler. Judges in the back. So let's bring in our judges right now and see what they have to say. We're live here, and that's how we thrive. Let's bring in Howard first. Mr. Howard Collado, you met Cindy, Richard, and Bryan in the back. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I did. Oh man, sorry. The bold one. I like that one, Avi. We got to revisit that one. Okay, so first of all, thank you guys for that. Just opening up your hearts as you did. I was just riveted by everything that you guys were just saying. And again, this is who, and what I resonated with most. Cindy, I love so much of what you shared. That story is also very powerful. I love the image of him on the bike, and he just, comes up to you and says, just ride, and you just go. And that's your first experience with him. That's crazy. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I can only imagine the sense of gratitude when your second child came into this world. And you were
and I got to bring him out.
Yeah, that to me just blew my mind. Bryan, thank you so much for what you shared. I love the imagery and the metaphor of your family as your rocks. Your grandma. Was it your grandma or your mom being behind you?
My grandmother behind me, my grandfather, and my mom.
Yeah, really powerful. And Richard, I love how you kept talking about these beautiful moments that could potentially be, your most perfect day, and then that wasn't a perfect day, and then you brought up, and which perfect for your daughter, and that wasn't a perfect day, and then you ended it with this beautiful image of you going down this corridor, and you see your family, and ultimately, that's what resonated with me. I'm Dominican. I have 26,000 cousins, so when I connect with family. So that image to me is something that just resonated with me. So my vote goes to Richard. But you all did.
Thank you so much. And Miranda in the back, you could be judging as well. Could you please tally that? So again, we're going to tally this right now. Howard, appreciate your vote. Guys, again, who resonated most with you? At the end of the day, we're having a good time, but really nothing more important than family. And we hope we provide this family atmosphere every Saturday night wholeheartedly. Guys, again, whoever resonated most with you, thank you for your contributions in the comments section. You'll be voting as well, as will our judges. Let's bring in Miranda right now and see who she votes for and why. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Miranda.
Oh my gosh. This was such an amazing topic, and you guys all really poured your hearts out. I truly, truly appreciate it. And thank you both, Richard and Bryan, for your service too. I have a lot of family in the military, so I respect it so much. And just amazing stories. I had tears in my eyes with every person. But what really resonated with me the most was probably Cindy's story, as a woman and as someone who hopes to be a mother someday. And I also work with a lot of the mothers. I'm a mental health counselor in my day job. So I've heard a lot of stories, and that was just an incredible story. I really, really, it was probably difficult to share that. I saw, you tearing up, and yeah, it must have been so hard to have to give up your child. But I'm glad everything came like for full circle for you, and the imagery with all of that too. Wow, like such amazing imagery, and you have a picture to prove it too. So my vote goes to Cindy. Thank you again.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Miranda. Thank you for your thoughts. Appreciate you. And appreciate you guys again, all jest aside. You guys are in the back and you're taking your notes and you're really listening to these amazing stories. So thank you as well in the back for being open. Guys, bring in Giselle. She'll vote. And then we're moving on to final topic, which is topic number 2, the final topic for tonight. Giselle, the floor is yours.
Hi. Bryan, I love how you included all of the generations in your portrait and that everyone is there for each other. That was a really beautiful image for me. Cindy, the journey of how you got to the happiest moment of your life adds so much depth to that singular moment. And then you found both the joy, or all of the joy and the happiness and the humor, and everything leading up to that made it so worth it. And Richard, I have a similar story. I didn't find this. My dad found this. I had always thought my love of storytelling and all things theater came from my mom's side of the family. And my dad one day came home and said, I was going through some papers and I found this playbill of sorts from your grandfather in the Army. And he had put together like an entire play for his company during World War II. So I understand exactly how important that is. What I loved about your painting is that you gave us a full 24 hours. You gave us a style of what this painting would be, and the title, and also the imagery of your back to the family of how that's painted. I could really feel what you were trying to describe. So my vote is going to Richard for topic 1.
Thank you, Giselle. Appreciate that. Guys, I'll pull up your votes here in the comment section because, again, this is a great way to get you involved and get your opinion as well. You guys matter. This way we all contribute something here in a positive way throughout the whole broadcast. Let's see. We have a vote from Lena. Cindy, you get a vote for me. Thank you. Appreciate that, Lena. I believe that Phil is voting for Richard. 3 amazing stories. You're right about that. We could take away a lot from all of the stories we just heard. Christopher votes for Cindy. Appreciate that, Christopher. Okay, some more votes here. Chad, wow, this is a hard vote, but Cindy resonated with me the most in this first topic, but Bryan and Richard really brought it. Yes, that's what happens when you are authentic and genuine. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate that as well. April votes for Bryan. Thank you, April. Appreciate you. All right, guys, more and more as we scroll up here. Sharon votes for Cindy, and Lester concurs and votes for Cindy, and we get the trifecta from Larry Lemley, who votes for Cindy as well. Appreciate that. That's 3 in a row for Cindy. Gloria Westcott, thank you. She votes for Richard. Appreciate that as well. Guys and gals, again, the winner of this tournament gets to represent something good. Who would have thought in 2024? You get to represent something positive here. Of course, if the tournament ends in 2097, it's still great. But at the end of the day, you get to represent something positive, something meaningful, something thought-provoking. And again, you don't see anything out here like what we provide on television or internet land. I don't say that in a boastful fashion. I say that in a way to motivate others. Do good. Put good out to the world. You'll see what happens. We have much more here to go, guys. Okay, a couple of your last votes that I'll tally, and then we move on to our final topic. All right, here. Nice to see you, Angel. Allison votes for Cindy. Okay. We have Michael voting for Richard. A couple of more of these guys. I can't count all of them. We have a lot of viewers watching live. So, again, Naomi votes for Cindy. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. All right, guys, I'm going to start counting this thing down, see if I missed anything here. I don't think I have. I've missed probably about maybe 30 all the way above. I won't do that. Gus votes for Bryan. Thank you, Gus. Appreciate that. All right, guys, I'm going to count this thing down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, there's a 5 and a 4, then there's a 3 and a 2 and a 1 and a 0. So, guys and gals and pals, we are moving on to topic number 2. It is all cumulative, so we know that after the second topic, the top 2 vote getters move on to round number 3. The top 2 vote getters, as always has been the case, will move on. If you remember, Richard and Nikita Koloff moved to round number 2 when they were on last year. And of course, guys, Cindy moved on to round number 2 as well in her match. Guys, this last topic is all about humanity. because we're usually defined as human beings, that is, by a sense of personality, experiences, reason maybe. But we're inclined to believe that the face we see in the mirror might be us. And that could have developed a personality through our life experiences. Maybe we utilize the brain as a way to survive, to calculate, to function with various social contexts, but it also favors order rather than chaos. But who are we? Truly, who are we as human beings? I'm going to kick things off right now, guys and gals and pals, with Richard, who will start things off. And then we'll rotate it out to Cindy and then Bryan. The question is for all three of you. Richard, what is one thing about yourself that you simply cannot comprehend? The floor is yours whenever you're ready, good sir.
Okay. Without getting too self-introspective, because I don't want to lose my audience, I cannot, and I'll put it in context, I cannot comprehend the concept of celebrity recognition when people recognize me. And I say this because I come from a middle class background. My father was a butcher. My mother was a bookkeeper. They worked their fingers to the bone, whatever, to provide for me and my sister. And in other words, what I'm trying to say is I didn't come from a silver spoon in my mouth of a well-to-do family who had all the privileges. And I learned what it takes to succeed, the commitment, hard work, preparation, and dedication and passion, which, either you have it or you don't. And if you have it, you can make strides in your life. So being recognized came in all shapes and forms. And I'll tell you just a couple of stories. And one story was when we were doing Three's Company, we would get maybe once or twice a week, the assistants would come in with the mailbag and there'd be fan mail from people all over the country and beyond, whatever. And I remember getting this envelope, and it was very colorful, and it had Snoopy and Lucy and Charlie Brown. It was a Peanuts envelope on it, and there was a return address. I can't remember it was from a girl. And I opened it up and it says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so. I'm 15 years old. And I just got to say blah, 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 all this encomiums of praise and whatever." And then it took a turn. It became like a letter to Penthouse. She says, "I have this dream, this fantasy that I meet you on a deserted highway," and it just goes on and on. It's more and more.
I never got one of those.
Graphic, like I think, and then like the eyes are not dotted; they have like little hearts over them. Yeah, and smiley faces, and love always, the whatever.
Yeah.
I showed this to John Ritter. He just about died. And the letter made its way around for the writers. And it was like the talk of the week. That's like this 15-year-old. "Hi, I'm 15 years old and I live in Visalia, California. And I have this fantasy about you." So anyway, so that was one thing that I was kind of incomprehensible about celebrity. The other thing was I would go to New York from California for some publicity, whatever things. And I was in a cab. And I'm in the cab, we're driving on Central Park West, and the guy looks in the mirror and he goes, "Larry, you're Larry. I know you're Larry. You're such a horny dog. I know you. You're always after the girls, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, I am." I said, Where are you from?" And he goes, "We're from Zimbabwe.
Oh,
we watch you in Zimbabwe." And I'm going, "What?" This show is being broadcast in Zimbabwe. So I just find, and then over the years, and by the way, as far as recognition is concerned, and people coming up to me, the greatest thing a person could say to you if you're in the public eye is, and in my case, is thank you for the laughs.
and that just makes me feel so great that you're able to provide laughter in a world that's, you know, if you read the headlines lately, it's going to hell in a handbasket. But there's that, and then there's, and I'll close with what I find incomprehensible. You know, you look at me with the white hair and the beard, and I'll be walking down the street, and this does not happen very often, but when it does, I'm like gobsmacked. And I'll be walking down the street, and they go, "You're Larry," and I go, "What?" You cannot possibly recognize. Oh, no, I see it in your eyes. I go, okay, whatever. So, I mean, I don't know if that qualifies as an answer, Avi, and the folks out there in Judgeville, but I still find it incomprehensible. And I still, you know, I take pride in being accessible to people, to strangers. I mean, I'm on this thing called Cameo, and I do these, I don't know what other people do, but I just like talk forever and say hi and whatever. And, you know, I like to think of myself as a regular guy and not a celebrity, but being recognized like that is incomprehensible to me. So there you go.
Well, I'm not the only one that recognizes how genuine you are, man. You really do. Like, I feel like when I speak with Richard Kline, it's like talking to an old buddy who is going to give it to you straight, but still cares about your feelings at the end of the day. And like, I think you walk that line really well, in my opinion. I think you make people laugh, but at the same time, you're a straight shooter. Sometimes those two things aren't married to each other. So yeah, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Alf.
Appreciate that, my friend. Guys and gals and pals, it's Richard Kline and Cindy Pickett. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours, my friend.
Thank you. I have to say something to you, Richard. One time, my first job in New York was The Guiding Light, CBS, New York. Was great. And one day I walked down the stairs and this woman said, excuse me. And I thought, oh, a fan. And she said, can you just come over? And I went over and she said, I just want to tell you that you saved my life. I was getting ready to commit suicide, and your character was going through what I was going through, and you became a warrior, and you went through it, and you didn't end your life. And I thought, oh my God! And the soap operas I know did affect people like that.
Yeah,
probably,
sure. Absolutely.
But anyway, I wanted to tell you that my subject, my thing that is incomprehensible to me, and because I'm on crutches because of it, I cannot seem to slow down. I've always been high metabolism, high energy, vitality, you know, wonder and excitement. Life is just so beautiful and exciting and interesting. And I remember my daughter was, when she was in kindergarten, you know, they said she was flipping across the floor in kindergarten. So I took her to the Amen Clinic, which is a place you go in Newport Beach for kids with dyslexia, ADD, all that stuff, and to say if she had ADD or whatever. So I thought, you know, I'm going to go through it with her too, because she faints anytime there's a needle put in her. And I thought I'll go through this with her. And so we went through it together. And at the end, the doctor said, okay, yes, Miranda, you have a busy brain. You, Mom, have classic ADHD. And they showed me the scan of my brain, and there were it's just this like two holes right here in your brain. Just don't, kind of connect. I cried because I understood why I wasn't a ditz, and I wasn't a flake, and I wasn't, I was smart, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't slow down and put it all together. And anyway, it was a huge thing for me. And, but I still, knowing that, still have a hard time slowing down. I'm on crutches now because I went to have a manicure pedicure with my daughter, and they gave me some flip-flops, and I decided to take a walk in this dark alley in this B&B I'm staying in. And I flipped myself onto the concrete, and I tore a tendon in my hip. But I got I'm on crutches, but and I'm making a film in like a month. But I'm like, this is the universe telling me to slow down and showing me how. I didn't break a lip, I didn't hurt, and I just really believe everything is a lesson. I believe everything is for a reason. And that happened to me to slow me down. And it's still hard for me. But, if I don't slow down, I'm going to fall on the crutches. And anyway, so that is what's incomprehensible to me. Although I understand ADHD and all that, I still have this zest for living, and I don't want to slow down. But I'm trying to learn to be more graceful and slow down, and that's my thing.
You know what I think, Cindy, my friend?
What?
I think that the crutches are going to learn a lesson. Their lesson that they're going to learn is you can't slow Cindy down.
No, I'm learning to really do a stride. I really am. It's kind of part of the whole thing.
Sure. No, you have a ton of ambition, my friend. And again, every time, it's so funny, every time Cindy and I are talking on the phone, you mentioned that as an aside. Hey, I did so many great things. And by the way, I'm on crutches. Like, wait, what? Go back to that for a second. How did that happen? But nothing slows you down. And I mean that in a complimentary way.
Well, and it's because life is just there's just so much to live, there's so much to do, and I don't want to miss anything. And, I take a cortisol, cortisol is the hormone that makes you anxious. So I just sleep at night. I don't take anything, but I take this little cortisol manager that makes that hormone relax a little, and I dream unbelievable things at night. Because I don't go into a deep sleep, I go into a REM sleep, and that's what I dream.
God almighty. I got to ask you more about that off air.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I could use that. But, it's funny because you guys are all talking about, Bryan, yourself included, about your passions. And I just want to let you know we have a lot of storytellers and gifted artists in the comment section. And one of the students I teach said this, and Richard, you've been teaching this craft for so many years. And I want to say this publicly. A lot of people that I know personally, a close friend of mine, Nikki, she took your class. A lot of people took your classes, and they said they learned so much. And they felt cared about. They felt like you cared about them as people, and didn't treat them simply as sheep that are led to the slaughter that sometimes happens in cattle calls. And really, you kind of connect with them on a human level. Anyway, one of my friends asked me, he said, I really want to pursue this, but everyone seems to think that I'm not going to make it because they say all these wonderful things to my face, but behind my back, they don't. And I told him, I said, don't worry about those who talk behind your back because they're behind you for a reason.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're behind you. And if you let that get to you, oh my gosh, you'll let everything in the world prevent you from being like the best version of you. So thank you again, Richard and Cindy, and Bryan, for talking about all the challenges you have to overcome. Because sometimes, as Richard mentioned, celebrity and status and all these things that we create, the public creates, we forget the lives you guys lead. We forget how hard it is to leave your families behind because you're doing something that you love, but you're still providing and putting food on the table and not giving up on your own soul. So really, thank you. It means a lot to me to hear this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bryan, the floor is yours, my friend. I will ask you the same question. This is our final topic. What is one thing about yourself that you simply cannot comprehend? The floor is yours.
My incessant need to improve and learn. Life is about numbers. It's a numbers game. It really is. Everything can be summed up in numbers. The percentages, your possibilities, they're endless. And ever since I was a child, picking up a book, I needed to learn. I needed to grow and expand. And I wasn't just okay with just being okay. I needed to be the best. I needed to learn more and grow and continue on. So I continued to learn languages, and it's why I continued to follow my dreams and pursue what I wanted to do. But it's for me, it's incomprehensible because I look at people constantly, and they're okay with just being sedentary. They're okay with, being okay. And I don't understand it. I don't understand it about me. I don't understand it about them. Where's their drive? Where's their passion? Where's their perseverance? A boulder gets in your way, and what do? You step over it and go around it, and some people just stop. And I'm constantly questioning, what could I have done better? What could I have done more? We'll give you an example. I just did a script not too long ago, and it was just a small thing, something for YouTube, and I was unhappy with the way it sounded. Everybody else liked it, but I wanted to figure out a way to do it better. So I spent over 2.5 hours just tweaking with the sounds, figuring out what vocal range I wanted to use for this character. And after 2.5 hours, I figured it out. And I did it. It worked just fine. And obviously there wasn't any praise for it because it's a YouTube channel. But it was that internal need to be better that was satiated at that moment. And I look at it now and I'm still critiquing it. To this day, I'm still looking at it and critiquing it. And Richard, you love teaching. And it's crazy because as a person who went to college originally for teaching as his major, I would rather be the learner than the learned. Does that make sense? I would rather take my time and listen and grow what's in here than to have to always tell everybody else how to do it. And for me, listening to you guys, I have grown exponentially even just in this little time, and I appreciate it. Your stories have furthered my want to what I want to be. And I will not give up, and I won't give in.
Good.
And, thank you guys so much for, first of all, being here. And I guess what I want to say is I can't stop learning. That's what I need to know why.
You're gonna wind up very happy because, again, you're not giving up on yourself, and don't ever give up on yourself. You're smart, you're intelligent, you're handsome, you're well-spoken, and I got to tell you, Bryan, I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. I know we don't celebrate celebrity, but at the end of the day, to accomplish what Cindy and Richard have in the craft of their choice, in their vocation, it says a lot, because the dedication is what makes you succeed, and the sacrifice. And don't ever allow, again, in 2024, those TikTokers out there or those who want a quick fix and go after numbers and metrics. There's no substance behind what you do if all you're after are mere numbers that aren't human to begin with. There's nothing humane about a number. But you, my friend, are. So keep doing what you're doing, brother. Really.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You guys have been awesome in here. I just want to say that. And don't you guys ever give up on anything. I mean, you haven't yet, but don't even start. You guys.
Oh no, they're here to kick butt and go to Greece.
Good. I want to see you guys keep being in this competition.
So honestly, the best mantra is never give up.
Yep.
I really live that. Never give up. I mean, so that's it.
My grandfather used to live by the mantra, never go quietly into that good night. One of my favorite sayings, this is just, I live by it. To fear death is to invariably fear life, for without one, you cannot have the other.
Yeah, well, you're living. You're definitely living, my friend. And yeah, guys and gals and pals, we're going to bring in our judges right now. Man, oh man, if we could learn, if somebody could teach us our last lesson first, life wouldn't be worthwhile, Bryan. Who wants to know everything? And then like it's boring that way. I know.
It does.
God almighty, look at the Knicks. They're actually playing well. Who would have thought? It only took them 20 years. So.
Well, you see, Avi, that's why I'm learning ancient Greece, so I can get to Greece.
There you go. Sure. Yeah, you got to go to Astoria, Queens for that, Bryan. Astoria, Queens is the place.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's bring in our judges, guys and gals, our great panel. Howard Collado, the floor is yours.
Oh, my God. Not sure how or where to decipher all this. Amazing on all three of your parts. Richard, I love that letter that you were describing from that 15-year-old girl. And then I love the details of like the hearts on the eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. And by the way, at some point tonight, I got to hear about being struck by lightning. You opened that can of worms. I got to hear about that. And Bryan, being that kind of like perfectionist with tweaking, you were still tweaking sounds. I completely identify when I record music. I'm like listening to like 3 seconds of music over and over and over and over. Insanity. I get it. And then Cindy, thank you for sharing. That moment when you first found out. I guess you had ADHD. And what that was about. And I love, and that thank God you're good and well, and that accident wasn't too bad. But I love how you connected that incident with perhaps the universe speaking to you. Yeah, and I get that. I don't know if I drink, it's because I drink too much coffee. I love very fast music and metal or what, but I identify with a lot of that. Even when I'm working on something, there's just like, come on. That's always happening sometimes, to my detriment and sometimes to my betterment. I'm not sure. Anyway, my vote's going to go for Cindy. But I also want to tell you, Richard, thank you so much for your amazing work. If I get an opportunity to say that, I just want to thank you. Big fan. So.
Well, thank you. Again, as I told Cindy in the back, this man and I met in college, Howard and I don't bring in friends to work or collaborate with me unless I know that they obviously are passionate about what they do. This man is the greatest Mercutio I've ever seen on stage. So thank you. Howard. Absolutely.
And yes. I appreciate that.
Goes back to Romeo and Juliet days. Appreciate you, Howard.
It's a great
Oh my God. It absolutely was. Nobody does dying scenes better than Howard. I have to say that. Amazing guy and a gentleman. Let's bring in Miranda and see who she votes for and why.
Hi again. So another great topic. Thank you all for sharing your experiences and your your personality traits or whatever's in your life that you can't comprehend is very interesting. With the stories that you told, Richard, and Bryan also, which I guess is a good thing. You're always striving to do better, so that's great. Keep it going. I think that I resonated with Cindy the most. I have anxiety, so I was the same a few years ago. I was always on the go, and my mom would always say to slow down, and I never wanted to miss anything or say no to anything. And I ended up having like a really bad season where I had horrible anxiety and stomach issues, and that forced me to slow down, and I'm just starting to kind of get back into everything that I, want to do. But yeah, that's the world telling you to take a break, even though you really don't want to. My cortisol levels were through the roof. But yeah, I really resonate with that. And that kind of pushed me into mental health even more so. Mental health and storytelling, those are both my passions. But it's really important to listen to your body and to take care of yourself, even when you don't want to. And your daughter's name is Miranda, or at least that's what I think I heard. That's really cool. So my vote goes to Cindy, but thank you all. I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Thank you, Miranda. Appreciate that. And I also appreciate the fact that there's 3 syllables and 7 letters in your name. I like that. That's really cool. We need to take our time with things. Why should we rush syllables and names? Take our time. Richard?
Right.
Yeah, can I just say something to Miranda?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm pregnant and I'm also taking cortisol. Is that?
I was waiting for something.
Miranda, is that change your mind? You want to mull that over, Miranda, a little bit? Maybe a little food for
thought. Wow, that's really that is.
It's a miracle. It's just a miracle.
Well, congratulations, Richard. How far along?
That's amazing. Congrats.
Yeah. I gotta say, Richard, you look very svelte. Very svelte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Avi, would you say he has a lot of chutzpah?
It was a one-night stand. What the hell?
There you go. Guys and gals and pals, again, a lot going on a Saturday night. Always does. We're going to bring in Giselle and get her thoughts and opinions right about now.
Hi again.
Hi, Giselle.
Bryan.
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Yes. No, there's an ongoing joke from the Lake series that we did with a hi, so that comes back pretty much anytime I can bring it back. If you know, you know. Bryan, I could not disagree with you more that needing to improve and learn is incomprehensible. I think that is probably the most basic thing to understand because we always want to be better and be the best versions of ourselves and improve. So I did not resonate with your thoughts at all, even though I think we just look at it differently, which is fine. But I have that same drive that you do. Mr. Klein.
Yes, Giselle.
I will. I'm gonna have fun because I have another story for you. You were getting me on the relatability stories today.
Giselle, you didn't write that letter, did you?
I did not. I thought about it really hard, but I have so many friends who always say, "Oh my gosh, we want to know what you're doing. What are you up to? What are you doing? You must live just such an interesting life." And I'm sitting here in New York thinking, no, I do laundry and I go to the pharmacy and I have to clean my dishes and my house the same way you do. Maybe I live in an interesting city. I don't know. I love New York. I think it's great. There's always something going on here. It's amazing. So that same kind of disbelief that you have about how are they watch me in Zimbabwe? How are they recognizing me? I understand that was really funny, but so not quite to your level, but I get where you're coming from. And Miss Pickett, what really drew me into you is that even after your diagnosis, even after you've had a label that can help you understand who you've been your whole life, what you've been your whole life, how it gives you something to say, no, I'm not so much what I thought of. Greg Louganis talked about this too when he was diagnosed with dyslexia and said, oh, I'm not this, I believe he did use the word dumb. I'm not this dumb person everybody thought I was. I'm dyslexic. I'm actually quite intelligent. I just have this one learning disability. And you have been diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, and you understand that. It helps you understand where you were as a child, where it came to be, and yet you still continue to zoom through life because there's so many interesting things. Your joy de vivre is abundantly apparent. So even though you know what's going on, you still go the other way and continue to live as your own lovely, authentic self. So in a sense, you still don't understand this about yourself, and I think that really drove your point home for me, and you have my vote for the second topic.
Thank you. Oh, it's so
Appreciate
true.
that, Giselle. Absolutely. The life of a storyteller. Who would have thought we do laundry as well? Wow. Yeah, I mean, you could send out for it. I used to do that sometimes. I used to think I was so amazing. I made it as a screenwriter. I have someone doing my own laundry right now. And then I realized it costs $65. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not exactly a smart fiscal decision on my part. But guys and gals, your decision-making in terms of your votes are going to be on screen now, and then we will bid these fine human beings adieu for the night. They're more than welcome to sit backstage and watch the John Amos tribute video, 8 minutes long, to a dear friend, John, who left us way too soon. And had John passed at 101, he would have left us way too soon. That's how incredible he was, there's no doubt. Let's get some of your votes here, guys, and find out who's one step closer to Greece and tzatziki sauce and all that good stuff. All right. We have a vote from... let's see as I pull this up, guys and gals. Phil, 3 more outstanding stories, but by a hair. I vote for Cindy. And Miranda, thank you for tallying in the back, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, 1 for Cindy. We appreciate that. Richard is indeed incredible. We appreciate him. And we're happy you guys are enjoying yourselves. Really, that's awesome. Lena votes for Richard. Cindy and Bryan close to second, though, but I voted for Richard. Thank you so much. Christopher concurs. Appreciate you, Christopher. Okay. Naomi votes for Cindy. And then we have 2 for Bryan from Chad and April. Spread the love, guys. That is awesome. Sharon votes for Cindy. And love you all. Okay. Lester, I believe I got your vote here. Gloria, Cindy this time. And Larry voting for Richard in this one. His answer just spoke to me a lot more. Appreciate that. Absolutely. And guys, remember, if they're here on screen and taking their time to do this, already we give them a lot of credit for doing that because there's nothing phony about authenticity. Amazing stories indeed. You're right about that, Lena. Guys, I'm going to start counting this thing down. We're going to find out who is going to round number 3. You know, once there's less people, it's like a bracket style, the rounds move quicker because there's less and less each round. So, guys, I'm going to count this down. 10, 9, 8, 7, there's 6 and 5 and a 4 and a 3 and a 2 and a 1 and a 0. Guys and gals and pals, Moving on to round number 2. Not number 3, I should say. Let me try that again for a soundbite. Moving on to round number 3 of the TKN Celebrity Tournament are none other than Richard Kline and Cindy Pickett. They will both be in round number 3, but give it up for Bryan, who is one hell of a sport. Again, gave us a piece of his mind, his heart, and his soul. Who knows who Richard will be paired off with in round 3? Who knows who Cindy will be paired off in round number 3? But either way, we're all going to benefit from the stories. And again, for the authenticity. Anything you guys would like to tell one another, please feel free.
I just want to say, both of you, congratulations. You guys did an absolutely amazing job. And kick butt, will you?
Bryan?
You first.
You're the kind of guy I'd like to have a beer with.
I would love to. You let me know the time, the place, and I'll buy.
You know, just shoot the shit because
Yeah.
you're very, very authentic. You're very real.
Yeah, let me know the time and place, and we'll get together. I would love to.
There you go, guys.
You're in
Cindy?
Michigan.
Me too for Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
You are so close to your emotions and you're so authentic, and it's really a beautiful thing. I just wanted to let you know and believe in yourself.
Thank you, Cindy, so much. I'm telling you, Cindy, your stories were just awesome. I'm telling you, you can tell that you had these emotions, you had these feelings, and you brought them out, and you weren't afraid to show them. And Richard, the whole thing about coming home, man, I'm telling you, even from basic training, that feeling of coming home and realizing, oh man, what did I do? You know, it's a moment where you don't forget it. You know, I don't think I ever said this to people much, but when I first got back from basic, we finally were able to eat regular food. And the first thing I did was go out with a couple of friends, and we bought way too much Taco Bell. Why? We could have bought some nice food at a restaurant, but no, we got like $300 worth of Taco Bell, and then hated ourselves for 48 hours, I think.
By the way, I have a Fort Sill connection, boys.
Do you really?
Oh, wow.
My mother, during World War II, you know, the whole country became was in the war effort. My mother, while my dad was on the European stage, she was in Fort Sill doing, I don't know what she was doing, but that's where she was doing her part for the war. So
wow,
that's awesome.
So
Kevin
many,
Bacon.
so many amazing women that were obviously heroes as well. Absolutely. Again, Richard Donner told me that B. Arthur, she was a Marine. B. Arthur actually served her country as well. And yeah, there's no doubt. And I honor Richard and for Bryan, and thank you for your service, guys, without question. I do want to say this to Richard. You're right about what you said about that documentary. You know, one thing I learned about that documentary that I never learned before that was that, you know, you could, not to get all grim here, but Ho Chi Minh and his soldiers would identify the Americans sometimes based on cigarette butts that were left in the jungle. That's how they knew that there were American soldiers nearby. It's such a detailed account of what happened over there. And again, just the trials and tribulations you guys went through. I mean, even bombing the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a day later, it's being rebuilt so easily, so effortlessly, and not being home and not hearing your loved ones, and marriages being lost and broken and torn apart. There's so much great history there. So guys, again,
and the country not being with you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like the real war is at home. When you come back home, there's another war. Oh my gosh. Absolutely. Guys, I'm going to talk to Bryan and Cindy in a moment, and then I'm going to bid Richard adieu first. Thank you again. Cindy and Bryan, I'm going to bring you back in a quick moment. And again, Bryan, thank you again for your service, sir. And Cindy, my friend, I'm going to bring you back momentarily as well. Man, I got to tell you, I had a really, really fun time listening to you. And thank you for teaching me as well, because I have the easiest position in the world. A, I don't judge. And B, I sit back here and I get to absorb everything you guys give me. So thank you.
Yeah. Can you DM me or message me with Cindy's contact?
Oh, I already did. I already sent you a message.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, no, wait, hold on. That was oh no, that was the movie Junior. That's Arnold. Arnold gets pregnant before you ever did. So check out the movie Junior. That's really cool. I will send you information. Richard, you had a nice time tonight?
Oh my God, yes. Are you kidding me? There's nothing. I don't think there's anything like this. This is like very, very unique.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, of all the podcasts that you do and all the, interview shows and blah, 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 and you're talking about the, this film coming up or this show that I'm in, but,
sure,
it gets to be a little self-serving, but this is like getting under another layer or two or three of these people that we know of as, quote, celebrities. And so I find it fascinating.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you as a friend as well. Thank you for what you bring, my friend, and thank you for teaching the craft. Richard, again, I'll put you backstage. You can leave anytime you want. I'll play the John Amos tribute shortly. But congratulations on being in round number 3, and I will be in touch with you soon.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you, Richard. God bless you too. Richard Kline, guys, what a class act. He's class personified, man, and really, to make people laugh is such a gift, and to recognize how important it is to make people happy is a bigger gift. That's who Richard Kline is. We're finding that out. I think that's pretty cool. Cindy, let me bring you in, my friend, because you're pretty cool. And from last round with Grace Slick, that was captivating. You sang to us. We're honored that you sang to us. And now we're going to get to know a bit more about Cindy Pickett in round 3 and beyond, and also on our talk show, which I can't wait to get into.
I know. I'm excited. We have to meet up.
Without question. We're going to do that real soon. But Cindy, congrats on round number 3. You'll be there very soon as well. I'm going to give Richard, of course, your information. Yeah.
Great topics.
Well, thank you.
Well, I mean, they're really, for us to share with each other, but there's something about looking inside yourself, things you don't normally talk to people about, and we're talking to millions of people, and yet it's okay because it's safe and it's important. So it was great to be able to do that tonight.
Yeah, but again, the way that you're able to kind of bare your soul and trust us in this safe place that we call TKN, it means the world. It really is, Cindy. Like I got to tell you, the people that watch the show, viewers, luminaries, whomever, suits and ties and all that, they're kind of learning more about why we're craving something genuine. And I say this again from the bottom of my heart. They don't come more genuine than Cindy Pickett. And I mean, I'm looking in your eyes and telling you that. I appreciate you as a friend so much, my friend.
Me too. A lot. Thank you.
We are going to see each other very soon. Yeah.
Yes, we are. I love you.
Love you too, my friend. Congratulations being in round number 3.
Yay.
I will talk to you soon.
Yes. Bye, darling.
The great Cindy Pickett, guys, is a great human being who, again, teaches us that it's okay to have flaws, to address any sort of obstacle you have in life with gusto, as long as you never lose your humanity. Retain your humanity. That's what it's all about. You could still love and thrive. You don't have to walk all over people. She doesn't do that. She is a genuine human being, and her friendship means a lot to me. So guys and gals, let's congratulate Cindy for the person that she is. The backdrop may be the tournament, but the friendships, hopefully they're eternal. So again, Cindy Pickett, great human being. Guys and gals, let me bring in Bryan Burr. Bryan, man, I got to know more about you tonight, and that's a gift because, we talk and all that, but getting to know you here on a Saturday night, different than a Wednesday, and there's some things about you as well that I really, really picked up on. I respect all of it. I respect the service. I thank you for your service.
Appreciate it.
And I hope you had a nice time tonight.
You know what? Even though it was a loss, I don't see it as a loss. I see it as I won. I got to be amongst peers and people who are also just humans, and we got to share our stories and enjoy each other's company. That was number one, and the learning was just fantastic. I got to say thank you again. This was beautiful.
Well, I got to ask you the question, though, because, guys, if you don't watch Wednesday's show called The Black Box, and, guys, on a more serious note, please stick around for the John Amos tribute because it's definitely a video that was put together with love, with a lot of love. And Howard Collado, who means so much to us, is someone we love. He puts his heart and soul into TKN and deserves the recognition he should receive all the time for being able to sacrifice days and nights and hours and doing Howard Collado weird stuff. Who knows what he does in his free time? But
that hair, sorry,
man, oh man. I mean, that's why he's so dedicated. But he hasn't had a chance to cut that mohawk, if you notice. That's how dedicated he is. But yeah, no, but man, oh man, what a great video you put together, and it really made me cry. But Bryan, you have an ability to come back, as not many people do, because there's something called the green ticket. And let me bring this up here. Richard knows, everyone knows what's going on. You could still right now, guys, Lena, April watching, Bryan on the black box, if you've been watching, there's only a few green tickets available to all 131 competitors that participate in our black box challenges. Only a select few, like 3 or 4, have a green ticket. Bryan's one of them. He has the option of coming back right now and doing this again, or waiting for another second round matchup. So Bryan is not eliminated. Now, guys, again, next week's matchup is an elimination matchup. Not many people have the green ticket. As a matter of fact, Bryan might be the only second rounder with it. We know that Kelly White has one. He's in round 3. Giselle has one. She's in round number 3. Guys, Bryan's got a second round green ticket. Before he renders his decision and makes it official here live, as we always thrive, Bryan, again, is one of only 130, I should say, 1 out of 127 second rounders that has the green ticket. That's incredible. Bryan, do you wish to use your green ticket now and jump back into this matchup for a chance to win? Or are you going to cash in your green ticket later in round number 2 on a later date?
Well, first, before I do anything, I'd like to say, if Richard is still watching, I'd need to know what type of beer he likes, and Cindy what type of drink she likes. And yes, I am in Michigan. So come on down. We'll bring out some bratwurst. Have a wonderful time. Second, I'm not going to use it tonight. You know what? They pulled this out, and they should walk away with what they have. They were amazing tonight. I don't want to even risk ruining that for them.
Well, they're amazing, and so are you. And again, don't think for one second that they didn't appreciate your story or absorb what you brought, because they did. We all do. We learn from each other, man, and we're all on this journey called life together. And God Almighty, it's so much easier, right, to tear people down, but it's a lot more challenging to stay positive, because we're told that we have to be cutthroat, and we don't. That's a bunch of hogwash. We don't have to be cutthroat. We could be who we are. You represent that, my friend. You're going to use the green ticket on another night. I'm going to play the John Amos video right now, and I'm going to keep you on screen, and I'm going to bring in Howard Collado, right? He's going to be on screen right now. Howard, by the way, is going to talk some recovery talk right after this. Yeah, some good recovery talk, guys, about his journey and how he's recovered from many things in life as well. And Miranda, who, again, with her mental health experience, is going to be talking about a lot of mental health talk, which is necessary. Let's bring in Howard. All right, let's bring in Miranda.
Good job, brother. Thank you.
Okay.
Good job, Bryan.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to bring in Giselle in a moment. And guys, John Amos was a dear friend of mine. And I want to tell you guys again that the people I've met in this industry are wonderful, not because of their fame or their fortune. They're wonderful because they a lot of times understand the human struggle. They make commitments to themselves. They love their characters. They raise them as if they're their own. And they give their life to a craft that allows people to cherish humanity at its best. So that's who John Amos was. This is who John Amos is. I hope you enjoy the tribute video I'm about to pop up. John, if you're hearing me, I want you to know
we love you.
Yeah.
I want you to know that you're the reason why I stayed in this industry. You know that conversation we had 2 years ago. You told me not to give up. You never did. You leave behind children and grandchildren and people that loved you. Honoring you is never a chore or an obligation. But mentioning your name in vain will never happen. Mentioning your name for the almighty metric will never happen. We broke bread. Wonderful dinners, wonderful moments. You made life worth the living for me. And the reason why you're special is because you made all of us feel special. You made all of us feel like we were your best friends. Because you cared about people. And it showed. Not just through your work. Not just through your words. But through your actions. I love you with all my heart, man. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
gave us everything, not merely half. He always took care of the riff-raff. Everyone dropped their dimes as they told their friends to tune into Good Times. He always took care, guys and gals. It didn't matter if you were struggling or wearing suits. We all watched Roots. Who could forget my date in 1989 with Erica? We went to see Coming to America. He's a fellow North Jersey native. The man is quite creative. I taught U.S. history, but it's no mystery that this man is an inspiration, not simply famous. I welcome to the program, Mr. John Amos.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
God bless you, my friend. God bless you. You will always live up to that. And by the way, a fellow North Jersey native.
Absolutely. New Jersey's the best training in the world for you. You get a PhD in reality.
A PhD in reality. I totally agree with that, my friend.
Man, what an introduction. I hope I can live up to that. God bless you.
Working a ton of jobs along the way, regardless of the job, did you feel like it served you in good stead as an actor later in life because it provided, in essence, hands-on experience? And is it accurate to mention that you didn't consider acting until you exhausted maybe just about every job?
I'm in Canada. I get cut from my last football team, which would be the BC Lions. Right. And by then I was just hanging on to what I hope would be an athletic career by a thin web. I mean, I was getting cut every time. I got cut from one team before I even reported to camp. We had an arts teacher, Mr. Wolverton. And Mr. Wolverton casually mentioned to me one day in study hall that, hey, John, why don't you come out and read for this part and play one of my convicts? We're doing The Man Who Came to Dinner. And myself on the far right. So there we are at my very first stage performance, and I said, I love doing this. This is great. I get to pretend, and that's all acting is pretending.
Let's give it up for the talented, humble, kind Mr. John Amos. Welcome to the green room again, my friend.
Well, thank you, Avi. Thank you. That's an incredible introduction, and I really, really appreciate it. I'll try to live up to it.
You always do, my friend.
I'll try to live up to it.
You always do, my friend. Although something occurred on May 28th, 1961, not many people recall that, and I want to bring it up. Amnesty International.
Yeah, refresh their memory, please. Avi.
This was a campaign that it called for the release of all people, guys and gals, that were imprisoned, essentially, in various parts of the globe, not just the nation, because of the peaceful expression of their beliefs.
Exactly. Thank you for bringing that up, Avi. I really appreciate you being mindful of the power that you have in being able to bring up issues that otherwise would be swept under the carpet. Thank you for that.
Not simply famous. I welcome to episode number 1 of A Good Time with John, Mr. John Amos.
Hey there, buddy. How you doing?
John, what do you think is more underrated? Hole-in-the-wall coffee shops, restaurants named Food and Stuff, or diners simply named Eats? But in the distance, on the left, a Seoul neon sign flashes saying Eats.
Exactly. A reminder to consume some calories, and if you're going to do that, this is the place. Eat.
Eats, guys and gals. I know that we hit it off a lot, but we also broke bread in New York.
Yes, we
And
did.
I like how a conversation brought two people together.
Yes, it did. And thank you, because I enjoyed the conversation as well.
Did you feel as if transitioning to the stage and performing live theater was a natural fit for you?
Yes, I did. I always felt very comfortable on stage, more so on stage than I did in film or television. That was my medium. That's where I did my best and strongest and most confident work.
Thank you. And John, would you say that as educators, we have a duty to keep the past and history alive with our youth?
Absolutely. And the fact that we have this podium, this opportunity to speak to millions of people at one time, we've got to use it to rectify the issues that are confronting us. Like the murder of these school children, the murder of the seniors a few days earlier or a week earlier. It's gotten out of hand because we are not taking advantage of the freedoms that we have in this country, the freedoms to address these issues.
Guys and gals, coming to the new network in the mid to late summer. It is going to be a good time with John Amos and Avi Klein. John, your thoughts? I know you're pumped up about this venture, my friend.
Looking forward to making this contact with the audience along with you as my partner in this crime. And I think we're going to have a wonderful time and provide a lot of wonderful listening for a lot of people. You've got a tremendous following, Avi, and I'm proud and I'm so happy and excited about joining you in this venture.
Friend, and by the way, I'll just say this without getting into too much detail. Looking forward to seeing you in person very soon, my friend, in Jersey, a place that we both call home.
Absolutely. Born and raised in Jersey.
Right you are, right you are. I want to play a clip, but before I play the clip, John, would you be able to maybe set this up for our audience so they know what they might be taking a look at?
But anything that you want to comment on is okay with me because I love your delivery and your style, man. I mean, you got nothing but energy and it's all positive. So bring it on. Sometimes I know I can hear that child laughing, Mr. Cummings. See, Ann is the only daughter that has preceded me in death. I lost 3 of my boys, but she's the only daughter. Once you get up to that New York City, then the cab driver want to take you to the airport by way of Western Kentucky. That was the essence of the one-man show. Little excerpts that you saw in this piece about Haley's will now develop into either a mini-series or a full-blown. I'm leaning towards a series. We've been getting, so I'm looking forward to you, Avi, giving me your thoughts and your input, because as I told you, that piece that you sent me is, I love good writing, and I think
Thank
that's
you,
been
sir.
my career, and this is a beautiful piece of writing, as I said. I'm referring to the piece that you wrote me. You're onto something because you're a writer. You're a creative force, and I want to hook up.
Thank you so much for those kind words, guys.
And you are passionate about your work. You love what you do. And I love to work with people that are passionate because it feeds us.
Guys and gals, one of the most iconic and resonating fathers in TV history, of course, was James Evans Sr. Did you feel as if some of the writers of the show theorized perhaps maybe what some of your reactions would be on, I don't know, maybe they had an LA or a Beverly Hills kind of point of view as writers?
I couldn't have put it more succinctly and more accurately myself. Now, how about that? You nailed it, bro. You nailed it. And that was a bone of contention, the perception of what his reactions would be.
But sometimes simplification is the ultimate poetry, because it was a father who loved his family, and that spoke to everybody.
You got times simplest is best.
We have the following options: unicycles, burping with melody, or 95-year-old women resorting to profanity.
I'd love to see the 95-year-old woman belching with profanity.
That's close. We can combine them.
Yeah, okay. Profane belching.
Profane belching. Guys, a quick moment of levity, but I realized the other day that the object of golf is to play the least amount of golf. Truth?
You get a lot of birdies, then you don't have to keep swinging and swinging.
Right. If you can get a hole in one on every hole,
exactly.
Minimize the amount of playing that you do.
True.
Spend one time at the clubhouse, having a nice cold beer.
Yeah.
Because I don't believe that this is all there is. I know there's something else, but I'd like to believe there's something else besides this plane of existence. But what, I don't know. But I know it'll be filled with challenges, but it'll answer a lot of questions that I have and I've had all my life. So I'm looking forward to the transition to some degree, and it'll be interesting to see what happens and what the future holds once the transition is made. So I'm looking forward to you, Avi, giving me your thoughts and your input, because as I told you, that piece that you sent me is, I love good writing, and I think
Thank you, sir.
My career, and this is a beautiful piece of writing, as I said. I'm referring to the piece that you wrote me. You're onto something because you're a writer. You're a creative force, and I want to hook up. We'll continue to tell stories until the story reaches the end.
Thank you for being you, my friend. I appreciate you and respect you wholeheartedly.
And that goes double for me to you, Avi.
Thank you, my friend. I hope you have an absolutely magnificent evening.
And you as well, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Amos, guys and gals. Thank you, John.
Wow. Howard, you did a great job on that. That was really touching.
I did nothing more than capture amazing moments between John and Avi, moments that Avi was a huge part of, with his awesome questions and his back and forth with John. Also a shout out to Ramon watching. Thank you, brother. He also helped a lot. But a lot of times Avi just sets a vision, but more importantly, like I said, all those moments are there. John and Avi had such a beautiful chemistry, on screen and working together, and I'm sure Avi could give more justice to that. But for me, John was that that first, there was these all these amazing celebrities that came that first year, and he was part of that first pack of celebrities that came. And man, when that first moment where he pops up and he's like, man, what an introduction. That sums it all.
Right. Wow.
John was definitely larger than life.
Yeah. I'm a little choked up. Thank you, John, for all the good times. That's what I wanted to say.
It's so funny how I can't get one word out, which is rare for me. But inside, he's reading 30 monologues that my soul has written for him already. This wasn't a superficial relationship. This was a friendship with meaning. 3-hour conversations, 2-hour conversations, 2-3 times a week for 4 years. What I always want people to remember about John is that he stood up. He bucked the system. He never settled for the status quo. He walked out on jobs that could have made a millionaire even richer. But his mental health was his wealth. He valued principles, values, He had a core system of beliefs. And there's a lot of artists, African Americans, women, people who were struggling to have their voice be heard, grew up watching America's Dad. They grew up watching John Amos. I was one of them. But I would never trade John Amos the person for any of his characters. Because those characters were lucky that they were raised by John Amos. They were lucky that he nurtured and spoke and got to know their plight. He gave them life. And that's what storytelling is. It doesn't matter what you do to pay the bills. What matters are the smiles and thrills. And he gave a lot of people smiles and thrills that went beyond the dollar bills. That's John Amos. Did we have a good time with John Amos? We sure bet we did. Miranda, you're always going to have something that is very historic. His son messaged me, and as I read to you from this phone, one person on the screen already knows. This was from his son. Why are you wearing those glasses? Oh no, that's a different text. He said, let's grab a steak a la carte. Thank you again for everything you did. I know Pops appreciated you and is glad that his final conversation was with you. Much more interesting than so many other interviews I have watched and partake in. It's actually fascinating. He looked up to you, Avi. And yeah, that's I know we've heard it all. Hug people you love.
Yeah.
Kiss them. Lester Howard. And no, what you I concur with Miranda. This is an ensemble. This is a team. That what you just saw doesn't happen without Howard. Doesn't occur. It's love. He has to love people to paint them in such a light. So thank you. And thank you for really capturing our friendship the way that you did. Howard sacrifices a lot of time because what we do here at TKN, guys and gals, is being of service to others. It matters to us. I know that there's a lot of people out there that will preach about anything but what they teach. I've had people that, on paper at least, on the surface, would seem like they would have been great traveling mates with the Mother Teresa herself. But behind the scenes, greed, money, lies, bullshit. There's no bullshit here. We do this because we love it. Not because we have delusions of grandeur, and not because we want to be internet famous. If that so happens to be the case, it's because we gave you our hearts. So be it. And if not, we sure are having the time of our lives. Love you, John. Bryan, first time out. I mean, Richard, Cindy. Cindy called me last night and we had a conversation about the topics. She was nervous. There's stuff going on here. Everyone wants to make it to that third round. Now, the topics will be more hard-hitting as the weeks go by. But man, oh man. You showed everybody why, regardless of someone's resume or their status, how we truly are one and the same. Not everybody could do this. You did.
Appreciate it.
You'll be back.
Yeah.
And if you insert yourself in my match with Megan and Diane Franklin, you'll lose. So any other match is fine. I don't want to face you. Guys, what I do want to face, and I'll bring Giselle in a minute, because she has a lot to say too. What I want to do now, Bryan, as I put you in the back, is I want to face reality as it's presented to us by Howard Collado and Miranda. Howard is going to go on first and talk to us about something that really means the world to him, which is your ability to recover from anything that gets in the way of your journey. Miranda's going to pop in as well and give us her take on that. This is going to be a fascinating conversation about all things recovery and mental health, as spoken by two people who've committed their lives. Think about that for a second. This isn't just a topic Avi gave them and hey, this is what they do every day when the lights are not on, when they don't look as amazing as they do before you. They talk about this and delve into all of these particular matters that you're going to hear now live, even when there is no camera and there is no pomp and circumstance. So Miranda's going to pop in momentarily. Howard's going to take it away, and we're all going to benefit from it.
First and foremost, get the choking out of my system. Thank you so much, Avi, for this opportunity. Means the world. Speaking recovery is something, it's language of the heart, as they call it. You know, we talked about, you know, Avi was like, hey, so what do you want to talk about when we come on? And I think one of the things I always think about is, you know, when you go to a meeting, you know, everyone sounds great. You know, everyone is for the most part always, you know, honest and vulnerable. And all that is amazing. And what happens in that hour is you can't really write it in a book, you know. That said, when you leave those rooms and you leave that meeting, and then you have to deal with life on life's terms, what are the tools that you use? What are the tools that you find yourself going to that are able to keep you sober for that day, keep you sane for that day? You know, it's one of the things that I'm always kind of thinking about. And for me, you know, the third step, again, in a 12-step program of AA, is essentially you made a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand him. And that to me is pretty powerful because it's a program that doesn't necessarily tell you what the nature of that power is. It doesn't tell you what the nature of God is. It's something you discover through your journey. And one of the ways you do continue to discover that for yourself is that surrender. Many days where fear and where fear and ego and you name it creep up, and it kind of takes over the control. And that is where then your decision-making system comes out. And I know I've been guilty of that. Hopefully you, the viewers, can identify with that. And when that happens, you know, if you have enough sobriety or enough self-awareness, you're able to then catch yourself. Is this you speaking from your heart, or is this you speaking from fear? You know, and a lot of the times, I don't know about you guys, but I want to be the director. I want to be the writer, you know, and I want to give people their scripts. And I'm like, hey, this is what you should tell me now when I tell you this. Okay. Oh, and no, that's not what you're saying. You're supposed to tell me this now. You know, and this is in the context of an argument. This is in the context of a fight. It could be in a lot of things. And I play that director sometimes. And you have to have that pause and sometimes surrender in those very volatile, difficult situations and say, hey, God, you have this. Just please, however you need to direct me, please do so. Not always easy. Not something you learn overnight. Not something that just comes naturally. This is something that you have to develop and practice, and believe you me, not something that I do perfectly either. But I think the more I'm able to kind of speak about it, give voice to it, and hear other people navigate those really tough waters, it starts then to solidify even more right? I'm able to, oh yes, I have this tool. Let's use a specific tool. That was a great comment by Chad. Chad, recovery is definitely hard to overcome if you're not prepared with how to deal with it. Yeah, I totally agree, Chad. Totally agree. And I think so much of what helps us is each other as well. Being able to speak to, a fellow sober brother and be like, hey, this is what's going on. And hopefully they're able to kind of see the blind spots that you can't, not necessarily sign off on your stuff, but are able to keep you accountable as well. And that becomes really important in recovery. And then we deal with, the mental health aspect of it all. And where are you able to get to a better place when it comes to the mental health aspect of some of the issues we're talking about? I'm curious to hear what you have to say, Miranda.
I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry. Thank you, Howard, and thank you for sharing your story. It's really touching. I appreciate it. So, I'm a mental health counselor. I've been doing this for a long time. I went to school for a long time, but I'm also working substance abuse. So, I'm a substance abuse and mental health counselor. I work at an outpatient substance abuse clinic, and I'm also in recovery myself from narcotics. I used to have self-harm issues, eating disorder issues, suicidal ideations.
I never knew that, Miranda.
Yeah, a whole bunch of things. And obviously anxiety, depression, things like that.
Is this where hence the no jinxing comes from?
That's like an OCD tendency I have. So I do have some OCD tendencies that go with my anxiety. So that's one thing.
Can I share that with the audience?
Yeah, sure.
Guys, it's like every time Miranda is like, I'll meet you there, or I hope it's 65 degrees tomorrow. No jinxing. I'll meet you there at this time. No jinxing. That movie I think is playing at 6:45. No jinxing. And the ongoing joke just becomes, hey, Miranda, meeting at 6. No jinxing.
Yeah, literally everyone who knows me knows that I do that. It's a thing where it's just, if I want something to happen, I'll say it. And if I don't say it, it's like this thing.
Say it.
No jinxing. And it's this thing where it's I don't know, it just makes me anxious not to say it. And I have other little OCD things that I do. If something's not straightened in my house, I straighten it, always usually with the labels facing forward. Everything has to be in a certain order. If it's not, it's a problem. It's a lot. So but I can connect with what you're saying too. One of the biggest things about recovery is community, right? So you're talking about AA, NA, all those things. They really help others to connect with people who are going through similar situations. You share, life experiences and coping skills and things like that. So that's
Can I
really.
ask you both a question? So the question I have for you about mental health and about recovery, of course, there's so many different avenues we could take here, but my question is universal. What happens when someone realizes that their mental health, now get this for a second, I'll play devil's advocate here. What happens when an addict assumes that their mental health will suffer as a result of weeding off whatever substance abuse, whatever drug? What happens then? What do we tell them, Howard, as a recovery brother? And Miranda, what do we tell them as a mental health professional? What do we tell someone who says, I'm afraid because my mental health will suffer as a result because this is part of my daily routine?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Would you like to answer first, Howard, or you want me to go?
I think that's what you're implying. No jinxing. That's a great question. I think you have to, you got to navigate that carefully. Because I think if immediately you just tell someone, this is what you need to do. I don't know about you, me, I'm going to rebel against, that first, that ego is going to be like, no, I want to do what I want to do. I think the key phrase that should be used is, well, here's my suggestion. I suggest, or keep the focus on you, right? Well, this is my experience with so-and-so drug, and this is the life I led, and these are the decisions I made or didn't make, and this was the result. That's not always easy, because sometimes it could be a friend, it could be a partner, it could be a parent, someone you care a lot about, and sometimes that soft love, I guess. And then sometimes you gotta know when to give that really that tough love. But to answer the question directly, I think you use yourself as a use your own experience and hope that they identify with the experience and or the feelings. No jinxing.
Now you're gonna start saying it, and it's just gonna be a thing for you too. Watch. Yeah, I agree, because in my job also, that's the approach that I take, because when people are in active addiction, and they are looking to get sober, if you tell them something like you have to do this, that, or threaten them with something, a lot of times it won't work. So I just tell them, this is what has helped others in the past. This is what has helped me in the past. So these are some suggestions that you can, like, let's say you're getting off of a certain substance that might make you anxious. You can try other medications that might help, SSRIs, or medications that help with anxiety, but that are not habit forming, such as maybe like a gabapentin or a hydroxyzine or something like that, because you don't want to take anything, obviously, that's habit forming at that time, or anything, and I tell them this is a process, and that the longer, you go without the substance, the better you'll feel. So you just have to get through that initial hump. Or, if you're drinking alcohol, there's things that help with alcohol cravings, and medications that help with that too, that are not addiction, habit forming. So there's a lot of avenues that people can take to help with the side effects of coming down.
What I want to do now, guys, is bring in someone in the back who has a recovery story as well. I'm going to bring him in, someone who's in this tournament too. And then after that, I'm going to bring in Giselle to do something I call recovery role play. I haven't done that in a long time. Howard remembers recovery role play. Now, this is fun, but we also get to learn a lot as well. Here's what's going to happen. So essentially, we're going to have Giselle be paired off with Miranda for recovery role play. I'll set the scenario, I'll set the stage, improvised, sure. Howard is going to have to identify not only the plight of the person in recovery, but maybe key words, maybe some terminology, maybe behavioral patterns, maybe some do's and don'ts. He's going to observe and assess that conversation and mention what he thinks went right and what went wrong about that conversation. He's going to assess that conversation between Miranda, who'll be portraying somebody, and Giselle will be portraying somebody as well. I'll set the tone. But before that happens, guys and gals and pals, I know that it's Saturday night, and that's why I keep saying, don't get mad. Get glad. Here's Chad.
How are you all doing tonight on this awesome Saturday night?
Chad, nice to see you.
Great to see you all.
As you can see, based on the back, guys and gals. Well, let me see your hand. Let's show the hand, the TKN. Chad's got represents TKN, and as you can see in the back, Chad he bleeds green as well. The green room, guys and gals.
Insane.
You know it. 110%.
Now, Chad, before we delve into some recovery talk, I'll go off screen, and you and Miranda and Howard can have some wonderful insight and really being able to delve deeply about something that people feel uncomfortable about. So maybe if they see us talk about this, they can let their hair down as well. It won't be as good as mine, but they'll try. What I do want to say, though, is this, is that, Chad, I got to say something, man. You're part of this tournament. You've got a matchup, my friend, against the person to your... How do I do this? There we go. Something like that. Lower right. You got a matchup against Miranda and Phil Justin. I know her. She's a competitor. She wants to go to Greece. She wants to win. We're going to learn from each other as well. There's no doubt. But there's also nothing wrong with competitive camaraderie at the end of the day. Chad and Miranda. Phil is the third person in this match. Now, there's history between Miranda and Phil. They have one of the longest recorded matchups ever. I never asked Miranda this, on air or off air.
Yeah.
Is it a little sweet to know that you have drawn Phil and might have a chance this time to kind of put things right that once went wrong with Phil Justin?
Yeah, I even I said that in one of my posts too. I was like, this is going to be like an epic rematch because I've been waiting for this for a long time, Phil. And that last match, yeah, it was grueling. That was like 3 hours.
Well, for some of you.
Well, for me, it was.
I was in that match. It was about 3 minutes, right? About 3 minutes. I got my votes and got out of there.
Oh my gosh!
No,
I
Miranda
definitely learned from that.
Hey, Phil, I'm going to say this right now. If I were voting, I think Miranda would have won. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to challenge you, Phil. Listen, Miranda. Hey, at the end of the day, she's knowledgeable. She's smart. I always told her when she was part of the Lake Series that she has so much to offer, and she did. She is an amazing mental health professional, but also someone who's a scholar when it comes to doing things she's passionate about. She is always diligent. She takes her notes. She memorizes things. She does the work. And man, oh man, I'm glad I didn't draw her for this round because she would be very, very tough to defeat. But more importantly, guys, she cares about people. She really does. She cares about humanity. I broke bread with her many years ago, and you could tell right off the bat that she's someone that wants to make people feel good. She wants to make sure they leave better than how they came in. And that really is something that I think is going to shine through on screen when you guys are really listening to Miranda's story. And how great was it? How awesome was it that a dear friend of mine, John Amos, got a chance to virtually meet a good friend of mine, Miranda, as well. I'm always going to remember that. I really am happy it happened, Miranda. I really am. Yeah.
Yeah. That conversation was just insane. Like what we were talking about death and everything, and how I was afraid of it. But then John was just so positive and so like ready for a transition that really like, wow, that touches my heart now that he's not here.
Well, it does. And these stories touch my heart. And Chad's stories, the one he's confided in me with, personally touched my heart. And he's very brave to share them with us right now, guys, here live in the green room. Chad?
Well, I know a lot of you I've spoken to off on the side about my addiction and recovery and stuff like that. And now I can say, honestly, I'm 8 years clean off of crack cocaine. I was... I didn't use it through my nose. I was strictly smoking it. It consumed my life. I lost my friends, my family, everything. Along that trail, I was also a heavy alcoholic. I was drinking at 24 a day, and I'm not talking just small cans. I'm talking king cans. I'm talking full-blown alcoholic, but functioning. I kept a job every day. I knew what it was like to have to move on. And, I had 7 children. So, I had to be there one way or another, sober. Sorry, guys, sober or not. And,
really quick, you have 7 children?
Wow. I do. I mean, I can honestly say, I would love to say I've been the best father in the world.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I've got a pretty bad story out of all this. And I was never a great father. There was points in my life where in order to get what I needed, I literally, and I feel so bad for saying this, but this is part of the healing. Sure. There were certain parts of my belongings that my kids had that I turned in to making money to support my habits, video games, stuff like that. I made their childhood crappy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that addiction is super strong, and thanks for the just revealing that, because there's that saying, you're only as sick as your secrets. So reveal that is in and of itself powerful thing. So yeah.
Continue, Chad. Sorry.
Why is there an autumn? And I know the answer because I speak to Howard a lot as well about this, but I'm curious to get Miranda's take first, then Chad's, then Howard's. Why is it that there is a bond that develops between people who take recovery so seriously, that really place emphasis on it? Guys, there'll be a time where Miranda on her talk show might delve deeply into matters of her past as well. Howard, of course, Chad. So you guys have experience talking about this and answering this question. Why does that bond exist between recovery brothers and sisters?
I'll jump in and go first on this one. I firmly believe it's because we all chose to want to take our life back. We got tired of being who we were, going through the ruts and the dirt, muddy roads that, led us nowhere. We wanted to find the golden path to life. And once we found it, we maintained to find a way to be on it. And it's a great road to be on. If you can stay on the road to recovery, there's no other feeling in the world like it.
Right. And I wanted to also say, Chad, before I answer this, you said that you were never a good father. I'm sure now you are a great father. So never say never, right? Also, I always tell my clients this too. I mean, it's good that you realize like the things that you did for your addiction. And like Howard said, you're only as sick as your secrets. But I always tell them like, that wasn't really you, that was the addiction that was doing all those things. I mean, you still did it obviously, but it's not you. It's the addiction. So now you are who you are now. That's your true self.
True.
Yes, clean and sober, and you're a great guy. So.
Well, I'd like to throw in on top of all of this, and I mean, I wish I could have had some help, but I went all through all of this cold turkey for the drugs, the alcohol, and I know some of you know I just quit smoking cigarettes September 1st.
Oh my God.
I'm still on the path of, sobriety and no smoking, no nicotine. So here's getting rid of all the toxicness in my life and a road to recovery to hopefully gaining my family back someday. We're not there, but someday, hopefully.
Well, Johnny McKinney has a great comment. Look, he's saying, Chad, you're a living testimony in all caps, brother.
Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate the support.
Thanks for watching. That is Beautiful, Chad, by Allison. I pray that you all will keep on the path of recovery. Yeah, one day.
Thank you, everyone. Your comments are so sweet.
Thank you, guys.
To answer the question, I think that we all have a strong bond because, and a lot of my clients say this too, because they, a lot of the people at my job and other like recovery centers are also in recovery. So it's like something that you connect with and that sometimes people don't understand unless they've been through it. Whether you have loved ones that you've seen, in addiction, or you've been through addiction yourself. So unless you've been around that, not saying you can't still be an efficient counselor, you can, but it's a different level of understanding that some other people just don't comprehend it.
Howard, again, you realized the benefit of being able to bare your soul to people that then are able to do so and paid for it as well on this platform. People in the comment section that have thanked you for being honest because your plight was something relatable to them. And it was done through a game we called Recovery Roleplay because, if you know me, I'd like to play games. No, again, take that as you will, but no, not in real life. But when it comes to having good old-fashioned fun, I preach edutainment. That's what we do.
Right.
Edutainment, guys. We're going to have fun while we're learning. And really, that's the teachers that spoke to me were the ones that weren't stuffy and pretentious and thought they knew it all. The ones who made me laugh and learn. Again, the 2 L's out of the 3 that I always bring up. Learning and laughing and, of course, and loving, guys and gals. Learning to love. Combine all 3 of those words and you got something pretty cool. Learn to love, and then guess what? You're living life. Somehow, you could learn to love a lot of things you thought you never could. You could learn to love the addiction you had when it's no longer part of your life. Not necessarily because you were addicted to something harmful, but because you realized that addiction made you human. Because we're all susceptible to being addicted to something. What I'm trying to say is if you're addicted to something, don't think you're less than. You're not. Don't think that you're all of a sudden someone that should be shunned from society, because you shouldn't be. If you were addicted to something, it's because you're human. And I think that's where it starts. Guys and gals, it doesn't end there, because that's where the recovery comes in, and that's where people like Howard and Chad and Miranda are going to give us a lot. They're going to give us a slice of their life, so to speak, guys and gals. And It'll be very interesting to see how that plays out over the next few weeks. But guys, talk shows next week. Yes, we debut them, and they're going to be a lot of fun re-debuting the talk shows. Some will be airing next weekend, some maybe the following. It'll be a lot of fun. Trust me. It is the time and the season of politics. So again, let me channel my inner. Can't be profane, can I? My inner Donald. It'll be great. It'll be the greatest talk shows ever. It'll be the best. It'll be good recovery talk. Better than what I can tell you right now. And you know what? Just to play it fair, because I will never talk politics here in the general sense. I have no bias, so let's go the other route as well. Howard, ask me how the talk shows are going to be.
How the talk show is going to be?
That's Harris. There you go. I gave you Harris, and I gave you Trump. There you go. Leave me alone right now. Leave me alone. I'm not biased towards anybody, all right? So... Sorry, Harris, stop laughing so much, damn it. All right, so God, she's Johnny. You know, I thought Ed McMahon was good. If you put Kamala Harris on the chair with Johnny Carson, he would have looked like even a million more bucks than he did. We're gonna now delve into recovery role play. It's gonna be a lot of fun here. Let's have Giselle make her way here to the screen. But before she does, I'm gonna set it up for her, and then she'll know what to do when she pops in. Now, Chad, here's what I'd like you to do as well. You're gonna do what Howard's doing. You're gonna be backstage. And you're going to take notes. And as recovery brothers, you're going to address the rights, the wrongs, the do's, the don'ts. Was there terminology used that spoke to you? Was there a part of this portrayal that was accurate? If so, what was accurate about it? What could have the other person done to have helped the person in the situation? I'm going to flip the switch here. Miranda is going to be the one, with all her experience in mental health. She's going to be the patient here right now. She's going to be the patient. Giselle is going to be the professional. Because again, getting outside of her comfort zone, that's how we learn. And we're going to hear Howard and Chad assess what they thought about both performances. And again, guys, the topic is, well, let me give you the scenario. Okay? So here's the scenario, and I jotted this down. Giselle is going to be portraying an individual who was stuck on step number 10 in recovery. That's inventory. Step number 10 in the big book, we're talking inventory. Up to this point in recovery, steps 1 through 9 have taught a person to see the truth about their behavior and how the rest of the world responds to your actions. Giselle will be calling up a friend, guys and gals. So we're going to turn Miranda into a friend, not a therapist. Or I should say, Miranda's going to be the friend calling up Giselle, who's not a therapist. So they're friends, they're buddies. Why not? They're friends in real life anyway. Miranda's going to call up Giselle, who's her friend, to assist her in this step because she's struggling with this step. Inventory. Again, up to this point in recovery, steps 1 through 9 have taught a person to see the truth about their behavior and how the rest of the world responds to their actions. That's what's going to happen here. Miranda's going to call up Giselle and ask her to assist her in this step. That is what we're going to be doing. Very general. How could she help her when it comes to taking inventory? How could she help her when it comes to coming to terms with being able to not shy away from the accountability of it all? She's having trouble taking accountability. She's having trouble taking inventory. That's why she's calling Giselle. She's in her room. It's 12 midnight. It's a Friday night. Her friends wanted her to go out. She said no. She knows that her friends have evil intent. They don't really want to do anything that's savory. And she really wants to take a step away from that. But this is the first Friday night where she's home in about 3 years. The first Friday night where she's home in about 3 years. I don't care about the names. I don't care who you're portraying in terms of the names that you guys assign each other. That's fine. Now, Giselle's character is someone that is currently taking care of her child with her husband. So they're at home. They're taking care of their child. This is sort of their time. Because it's 12 midnight, for crying out loud, and the last thing she wants to do is be on the phone, but she has picked it up because she knows what Miranda's character is going through. That is the scenario. Howard and Chad are going to be observing in the back, giving us their thoughts. Giselle, the floor, along with Miranda's, is yours.
Hi, Lily. Hey, Giselle. Listen, I'm having I know it's late. I'm really sorry. I know you're probably...
Yeah, you're lucky I saw the phone light up because it's definitely on silent because we just got the baby back to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm sure you were taking care of Billy and everything. But I'm just having a really hard time. This is the first time I've been home on a Friday night in 3 years. And my friends invited me out, but I know that they're not good people to hang out with, because they're going out to a club, and I don't want to do that. And I've been working on the steps. I'm doing really well with the steps, but I'm just having a hard time with step number 10. Is just I'm not going to take accountability for things that weren't even my fault. It's just I don't know what to do.
What do you mean?
If they're saying I need to take accountability for using and for hurting people's feelings, but if they never hurt me to begin with, I wouldn't have ever done the things that I did. You know what I mean? Like if my mom was never around. If she was around and she would have been here, I wouldn't have been doing drugs. I wouldn't have needed any of that kind of stuff. So how is that my fault for taking drugs and drinking and everything? How would that be my fault? I mean, or how would it be my
How did you get access to this when you were young in the first place?
Well, I mean, the friends that I was telling you about, these people that I went to school with and everything. And yeah, I did steal my mom's money. But like I said, if she was around, she would have noticed that I stole the money. She didn't even notice. She just, she noticed later on. But I mean, what was I going to do? She wasn't there. I didn't have any money for the drugs. So
Was this money important to your mom?
I mean, I guess what money isn't important. I mean, you got to pay the bills and the rent, right? But I mean,
didn't you tell me your mom got kicked out of her place?
Yeah, but how is that my problem? I mean, she like
if you didn't take that money, do you think she'd still be in her place?
I mean, I don't think that $200 makes a huge difference in the grand scheme of things. I didn't steal from her all the time. This was just a couple of times where this happened. So, yeah, I did it. But again, if she was here, I wouldn't have had to do it. Or I would have been able to ask her instead of taking it myself. You know what I mean?
Did you ever have any intention of paying her back?
Well, I have paid her back. Yeah, I mean, I've been helping her with her bills now, but she's I think expecting like an apology or something, and I'm not going to apologize for that.
You don't think that what you did really hurt her?
It might have, but I never got an apology. I never got an I'm sorry for not being there for you and for being a shoulder to cry on when you broke up with your boyfriend or when all these other things happened in my life that she wasn't there for. So why?
So you want to? I mean, it sounds to me like you were seeking revenge.
I don't know. I don't see it that way. I wasn't doing it specifically for like a revenge or like a spitefulness. I just needed money for the cocaine. I didn't see it as a revenge type of thing, but I'm not going to apologize.
And freeze. Miranda and Giselle are going to have 60 seconds to drive their points home before the scene concludes.
So yeah, I just would like an apology before I give one. That's all.
Do you think it would help her if you apologized first?
I mean, maybe.
One of you needs to open that door, and it doesn't sound like it's going to be her.
You're right. I guess, I don't know. I'm going to have to work through it more with my therapist, but I guess taking the high road sometimes is more important than, keep harboring the the nastiness and the anger. I don't know. But I appreciate you helping me out because I do feel a little bit better now. And I'm tired now. I'm just gonna go to bed, and I know you're tired too. So,
Yep. I'm pretty sure kid's gonna wake up in the middle of the night.
I hope not. But I'll talk to you tomorrow. Get some rest.
I'll call you in the morning.
Okay. Bye.
Wow, she just wanted to hang up and go backstage is what she did. Guys and gals and pals, great conversation. Howard is going to enter the virtual arena with Chad, and Brian's going to be up soon too. I got something for Brian. But this is Howard and Chad. Now, guys and gals and pals, I'm going to have another scenario also for Howard. Why not? Great recovery talk. The outro's coming up. If you want an exclusive look at next week's matchup, trust me, watch the outro and get ready to start your engines. It's going to be fascinating to see who's up next Saturday night. Let's bring in Howard. Let's bring in Chad. Giselle is still mad at Miranda, I guess. She has stuff to do, and she's bothering her on a Saturday night. She really isn't, guys and gals. But Giselle, again, we're going to give her a lot of credit over here for being able to jump into this thing right away. Chad and Howard, what were your thoughts? Let's talk about direction of the conversation and where it led to. Let's talk about recovery talk. Let's talk about Miranda specifically. Do you think that Miranda's character, based on how she expressed herself, handled the situation the way that someone in recovery should? And do you feel as if she made the right decision, not only calling Giselle's character, but opening it up the way that she did? Again, we're not judging. We don't do that here. It's a judgment-free zone. But this is a portrayal by Miranda. She's playing a character right now, guys and gals and pals. Howard and Chad, assess the conversation any way you'd like.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think Miranda did the right thing. Obviously, she's sitting in this resentment, and she called someone to talk about it, to kind of let some of this stuff out. And I think so. In that end, yeah, she definitely did the right thing. Chad, what are you thinking?
I firmly believe that too. Like, I mean, it didn't matter what time of the night it was. If you can reach out to anybody for help, it definitely shows the first sign that you want the help and you're serious about it. So I mean, kudos for you to reaching out to somebody immediately, to wanting to find help and with what you're struggling through in your next step. It's huge.
Yeah, and like you pointed out, at 12, like midnight, a lot of people would be kind of hesitant or possibly immediately assume, oh, this person has a child, they're not going to pick up. What's the point? But I think what Miranda's character did was you're trying to keep yourself, to the best of your ability sober for that particular night, right? So you're putting that gas mask on yourself, which I think was definitely, admirable. Yeah.
One day at a time.
Guys, Miranda, again, who really has a lot to say, and she sits and listens very well to people every day, helps them out in their journey and their plights. She's going to do the same right now in the next scene that we have, as we wrap up the green room with this final scene and then the outro. It's going to be Howard and Bryan. Chad and Miranda are both, again, going to assess this any way that they'd like. They'll take some notes down. Let me set the table for you. Bryan, let me bring you in right now and give you the scenario. Bryan, of course, earlier was part of a great conversation with Cindy Pickett and Richard Kline. And man, oh man, we talked about everything from New York City steaks to male pregnancy. I mean, we went everywhere. So
only at TKN, baby.
Yeah, I mean, so how much? So I got a question, Avi. How much am I going to be set back for a steak?
Oh, New York?
Yeah, just curiosity.
In order to afford a steak with Richard Kline, you would have to have won the Pride and the Prize, which you haven't yet. So.
Oh, don't worry. I'll put a lien on my car. We'll get through this.
You'll definitely need to, guys. Again, listen, New York City stories with Richard Kline could last all night. I mean that as a compliment.
Yep.
Be ready to pay the big bucks, brother. But hey, guys, right now what we're gonna do is have great conversation again. Recovery Talk 101. I call this recovery role play. Howard Collado, let me give you the scenario right now, my friend. You are going to be portraying a man that is quite inebriated and visibly worse for wear as a result of drinking. You find yourself entering your cubicle for work.
Oof.
You work in sales.
Ooh.
And you're approached by your supervisor, played by Bryan. Bryan Now, let me give you more depth here. Now, Bryan has been monitoring Howard for several weeks, and he's noticed this unfortunate pattern. He's about to fire Howard from his position. Not right away, but it's going to get there. He's about to fire Howard from his position, but not before addressing Howard about the issue. Howard is sarcastic, unapologetic, and rude. Now, Bryan's going to jot these notes down with his pen and paper as well, the way Howard is. I'm going to repeat this again. Howard is going to be portraying a man that is quite inebriated and visibly worse for wear as a result of drinking. The drinking the day of. He finds himself entering the cubicle at work only to be approached by a supervisor played by Bryan. Bryan has been monitoring Howard for several weeks and has noticed his unfortunate pattern. He's about to fire Howard from his position, but not before addressing Howard about this issue. Howard, meanwhile, is sarcastic, unapologetic, and rude. Chad and Miranda are going to let us know again what kind of behavioral patterns they noticed from Howard. Did Bryan's character approach Howard the right way, the way that he should have? How did this conversation help those in recovery? All of that will be addressed by Chad and Miranda. Thank you, guys. I'll put you backstage, and I'll put myself backstage. The scene will begin the moment Howard enters this cubicle. Now, remember, Howard doesn't notice Bryan right away. Bryan does notice Howard, though, from afar before he approaches him.
Hey, buddy. How you doing, Howard?
Oh, hey, Mr. Boss Man. How you doing?
Hey, Howard. What's going on? You okay?
Am I okay? I am okay. I am okay. I am super. I am doing amazing, Mr. Boss Man. I am living the high life. That's what's happening, Mr. Boss Man. If you're asking me.
So you're lying to yourself right now. I can smell the alcohol.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was just
Don't.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Listen to me. Look, you keep doing this to yourself. You're gonna.
What am I looking at? What am I?
Listen to me. You keep doing this to yourself. You're going to kill yourself. Is that what you're looking for?
Wait, what am I? Well,
you need to get this fixed. Now, I know a great place that can help you. I'm willing to help you out.
So you're
I'm willing to pay for you to get.
You're a doctor. You want to fix things. So they should put doctor in your title as opposed to chief consultant or head of.
You mean your boss?
Anyway.
Who cares about his employees?
Oh,
I don't listen.
Oh, he cares about me. What do you really give a flying fill in the blank about me? No, you don't, bro.
Yeah,
I'm your little, worker. I come in a cubicle and I gotta work for you.
I think
the
biggest issue is that you think that way. I understand that crap is going on at home and that you've got issues that are going on in your life. You're at work, man. You got other people around you who are relying on you to step up. My point, the reason I am willing to help you out is because I do not want to see somebody who I've been working with for so long on the street because he is having a rough time. Listen to me. Don't talk. Don't talk. Just listen. The best thing you can do right now is listen. Now, the uppers, they've been telling me that they want me to get rid of you. I don't have a choice. Do you understand this? You are going to be out of a job, but I'm not going to stop until you get help. I can't. You're another person. I can't do this, but I have to tell you, you're no longer allowed to work here. First of all, you understand that, right?
Great. Then just
no.
I'll start.
I understand.
Okay.
You get help. Listen to me. I will pay for it.
I'll get my stuff. That's all.
No, don't leave. Listen to me. If you leave, there is nothing for you. Listen to me. I am here to help. Do you need a place to stay? You have a place, first of all.
Why do you care? Why?
Because I've been there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Where have you been, boss man? Please enlighten me.
12 bottles of fucking, pardon me, 12 bottles of Brewski Deep. Okay. Three bottles of Corona. Okay. Not only that, but you have a 121 proof wild turkey that I downed within a matter of 15 minutes, all because I wanted to know if I was going to put a shotgun in my mouth that night. Now, I want to ask you something. Where is your head? Where is it? I'm here. You're not alone. Do you understand me? If you need a place to crash, I got you. Do you have a place?
I got kicked out, I think.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Here's the plan. I can't keep you on.
Bryan and Howard, guys and gals and pals who are watching and commenting, thank you all, by the way, to Allison, to Lena. Big shout out to you. Howard and Bryan are going to freeze right now. They're freezing. Again, just addressing everybody in the comment section. Thank you all for giving us such a marvelous night. Thank you all for allowing us to educate and entertain as only you can. Because behind the scenes, you're educating us with your comments as well. You're entertaining us with your witty banter in the comment section. Keep that going. It means a lot to all of us. So thank you as well. Sharon, Consult KP Now, Radio Quahog, Lena, Larry Lemley, Sharon, Lester Cook, Chad, of course, was in the comment section as well. Man, oh man, all of you guys and gals and pals are awesome. Now, here's what's going to happen. Bryan and Howard are going to find a way to reach some sort of resolution in about 60 seconds.
Look, I can't let you keep this job. I'm sorry, man. But I can give you a place to stay. Listen to me. As long as you're willing to let me help you and get help. Promise? You'll have a place to stay, and I'll get you another job if you need it. But you can't be here.
You'll get me a job?
Yeah. I've got enough pull.
You asked me where I was at.
Yeah. Tell me.
I'm lost.
I know.
I don't know where's up or down, left or right.
I've been there, man.
I don't know how to ask for help.
Then don't. Just take it. I'm reaching my damn hand how you take this. Because I can't watch another person die.
I appreciate that.
We appreciate Howard and Bryan, guys. We're going to bring Chad in and Miranda. They're going to give us their thoughts, starting with Miranda first. Let's hear from Miranda.
Well, this was more emotional than I thought it was going to be.
I'm here. My eyes are sweating.
Geez, yeah, mine were getting there too. Wow. Well, Howard portrayed the character very well.
Had some experience.
Yeah, portrayed him very well. And especially the part where you were like, I'm just going to get my things and go. When he said that you can't work there, because that is what someone with an addiction would do. The second they hear somebody saying something that, is kind of like towards them, they personalize it and it's like a whole cycle. But what Bryan did that was really great was that, I don't even know if there is a supervisor out there that would be like this. You were?
Yeah.
Well, that's great because you did a lot to help Howard, which was awesome. And the main things that I got out of that, not only were you trying to help him with a job and a place to stay, et cetera, but the main thing that I took away was that you said that you care about him, which is something that's really important to say someone who's struggling, and also that he's not alone. That's another important thing. So that was really great.
Thank you. I saw too many times in my life lost a good friend.
And you'll help others that are dealing with that, Bryan, because remember something, man. Yeah. Your stories and your experiences never die. They're there to help others who are still alive. And maybe like others who expressed this in the comment section, maybe you already have and still will save a life as a result. That's a big deal. So be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Wear your heart on your sleeve, brother. Over here, you're in a safe place. Chad, got to ask you as well. I never, ever would ask a man with a TKN tattoo, unless I knew what TKN was all about, what he thought about a mohawk-wielding Howard Collado.
Wow.
And a man who's mastered the voices of every Simpsons character ever. What he thought about recovery talk. But there you go, guys and gals. We're peeling back the layers. Now you're finding out more about who Howard is, who Bryan is, who Chad is, who Miranda is. Yeah, they're here to win, but they're also here to learn and teach, guys and gals. And that's what we're doing here tonight. Chad, your thoughts on the conversation. Where do you think Howard started to listen and become a bit more receptive towards Bryan? When did that happen? Why did that happen based on the scene, Chad?
Well, for me, I believe it was when Bryan reached out and wanted to give him help. It was knowing where he was in life, if he had a place to go, you know, just overall reaching out to offer the help that Howard needed to get his life back on track. It wasn't just being a friend. It was looking out for his job, giving him a place to stay, and being what a true professional is and what a boss should do is offer the help. Don't be blind about it. Don't sweep it under the rug. Don't pretend it's not there. You are not helping that person at all. So to me right there, that was a very powerful moment that Bryan came in and did what he had to do. You know, Howard, with you, I find you played a lot of deflective. You didn't want to realize that you had a problem until Bryan really hammered you with what's happening in your life. And it took a little bit for you to finally realize and come to the terms that you have a whole lot more with the scenario of problems and what you really dealt with, because now somebody kind of slapped you in the face and presented the problem to you.
Yeah.
You got a grasp of it. And I mean, as being a person with addiction problems,
yeah,
a lot of the time it takes that smack in the face for somebody to go, wow, what's going on in my life? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And why am I on this crazy friggin' path? What can I do to make this better?
Yeah. And the fact that he also talked about being there, you know, like that to me is really when I'm like, oh, you've been through, okay. Now I'll shut up and kind of listen to what, you know, you got through.
Yeah, but you're not alone, right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's funny because
guys and gals and pals, if this conversation meant a lot to you as much as it did to me, we're going to do this often on Saturday nights, and different guests, different stories, different feedback from all of the amazing Green Roomers and Engine members that will, again, offer themselves wholeheartedly, and all of you in the comment section. Now remember, talk shows will be on YouTube Friday and Sunday. You'll see artwork for that. You'll see flyers being distributed as well, and a new flyer for Recovery Talk will come up with a title. Maybe you guys can come up with a title for Recovery Talk for us. Recovery Talk, mental health, as we can. Is it cause and effect? Is there a correlation? Of course there is. You'll have the chance to give us topics of your own if you'd like. But guys, again, thank you for sticking around, because the outro is going to give you your first look at next week's matchup. Guys and gals, get that engine started. I'm telling you right now, you'll know what that means pretty soon. Watch the outro, guys. And again, Giselle's going to join us. I'll bring her on screen. Remember, everything that we do here, guys and gals, is because we're passionate about what we do. This is a labor of love. That's the real LOL, our labor of love.
I see what you did.
For the amazing Miranda, for the man that always makes us glad, Chad, for the man who's as warm as his last name doesn't indicate, Bryan Burr, for the man that paints so well behind the scenes and on camera, Howard Collado, for a person who understands the word and gives it as well, love, Giselle, and, guys and gals, for Richard Kline, Cindy Pickett, and John Amos. We thank you for joining us on episode number 210, our 210th consecutive episode, and we got more to come.
Mr. Klein himself, the mastermind.
Mastermind, Avi Klein.
Brian Klein, I love that.
The one of a kind.
I'll tell you, I do like this green screen because the red TKN backdrop makes it look like I got a good tan, but I don't. But guys, I'm going to tell you right now, the outro, as you picked it, who are your top 10 contenders this week in our top 10? And then at the very end of the video, your first look at next Saturday's matchup. And I guarantee you, there won't be any green tickets. Last week, Miles Avery, you called it. Due to hurricane issues in Asheville, North Carolina, you voted him back. He couldn't make it. He's still in. Teddy and Tank were the first to advance to round 3 in this tournament on air. And then, of course, tonight, Brian Burr used his green ticket. He's not gone. Cindy and Richard Kline in round number 3. But next week, no more green tickets. The elimination round officially begins next Saturday night as we go down from 131 to 130 in this tournament. Thank you, guys and gals. Enjoy the outro and enjoy the night.
Obsession's going to be talent every time. You got all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? Is it all you ever think about?
You know, you look forward to training every day, even though it's brutal sometimes.
And if you go back all the way to Jane and her passing on the day of my race in '88, it's because of that.
Thing, and that was the hardest thing, is to look at yourself and realize that you had to find something that you loved. Myself and 3 other kids that were of color. Other than that, that was it for the whole town.
Is this where we're going, JW? Huh? Is this where we're going? Is this really where we're going to be going?
I didn't know it was this bad. Like, I didn't know that your personal life was affected based on you being nervous about our up-and-coming matchup.
I like my ball plays, right, Rick? I like the NBA guys, all right.
It was one of the reading materials that sticks with me today was a book called The Black Athlete, A Shameful Story. And it
in bioweapons. What the hell are you killing?
You're right.
Somebody with your SUV running over a Christmas parade. What the hell are you thinking?
Well, you know,
I wanted to give this guy some good exposure and at the same time show the wrestlers in the back you can have a match without a clothesline.
By working, Avi, you will keep yourself busy and get used to the grief.
Go out and get those facts and do what I was doing. Today, that's not what I do, and I'm sensitive to people who don't want to answer a question.
WWE, and I got to go with some soldiers. I got to go with some country singers, some actresses into there, and we started up tribute to the troops.
It's been, to me, the most fun part about conventions and Comic Cons and things like this are seeing old guys, which I don't get to see that often.
Because they said Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. How could one man, though, have done the impossible?
So those guys were my heroes. I fell in love with Marcus Johnson a little bit. That's why I wore number 8.
have been marching through my town, and then I saw a picture with my friend holding the sign. An actor, my job is to portray that as honestly and truthfully as possible.
Can we really ever know 100% what the plan was supposed to be and if we're following it? That's a good question that I always ask myself too.
So I stay pretty busy. And on top of that, I have to be a husband and I have to be a father.
You have only so many Michael Jordans, Bill Russells, Wilt Chamberlains, LeBron James, Julius Ervings. There's only a certain number of them in every generation.
I wanted to go straight to the source of all my questions and talk to God.
210 pounds on each side, 420 pounds for RVD's main event set here.
And illustrated the way he was talking, almost like Michael Klein. So I took that from him and I came up on, oddly enough, a cassette tape.
It's the guy who's willing to die who's gonna win that inch. And I know if I'm gonna have any life anymore. You gotta look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're gonna see a guy who will go that inch with you.
You know what? Maybe one of the world's problems will get solved by listening to this show.
I'm gonna win this whole thing. Watch.
I know you are, Tom. I know you are.
Let's go!